So I think we are live now, and a warm welcome to all the participants. We'll be waiting for some time. Let's wait for some time because we have joined 5 minutes before itself. So gradually people will be joining now, and then we'll be starting the session in just 5 minutes. Till then, I'll just explain. So there is a chat box on your screen. You can just write down whatever you want. You have any queries, you have any issues, you can just write down in the chat box, right? So before 5 p.m., I think already many of the participants have joined and some of them are joining now. A very good evening to all the participants. In the chat box, you can write if you have any queries, if you have any messages. So this time we are live on YouTube as well because many of them requested, sir, आप YouTube पे live नहीं होते हो. So we tried to make it live on YouTube as well, OPTOTAX के YouTube page पे. And yeah, so many people are seeing there also, and many people are almost 150 plus participants have joined us. That too 5 minutes before itself. A warm welcome to all the participants. Manmohan Kumar Mashwari ji, good evening, sir. How are you? So I'm able to read the chat now. Whatever messages you have, you can just message in the chat box. Good evening, Anil ji. कैसे हैं आप? How are you, sir? Very good evening. Namaskar, Vanakkam, Sat Sri Akal, Ram Ram to all the participants. Ramu ji, Bala Subramaniam ji, a very good evening. Yeah. Good evening, Prabhat Kumar ji. How are you, sir? Deepak Kumar ji, Chandrasekhar ji from Tamil Nadu. Vanakkam, sir. Vanakkam. Ajay Kumar Banerjee ji. Good evening, sir. How are you? Yes, Rohit ji, hello sir. First time I'm attending. Great, Rohit ji, great. So good to see you attending first time. We are also doing this kind of webinar first time. It will be a purely interactive session. It will be a purely question answer based session with Arpit ji, and you will enjoy it. I promise you that you will love this webinar. Deepak Kumar ji, Meerut से कैसे हैं sir? बहुत बढ़िया. अंकित जी, first time visitor. Very good sir. बहुत ही बढ़िया. Very nice. विनोद दुलानी जी कैसे हैं? How are you sir? नारायण स्वामी जी. Anil Kumar ji, Shivam Gupta ji, good evening, good evening. Satya ji, good evening. Happy to see you again. Yes, sir. So yeah, we keep on doing webinars. We love to share our knowledge, whatever we have with all of you. Manmohan ji, is 2B report available on OPTOTAX? Sir, good to see this message initially itself. So we'll make it available, sir. Don't worry. Today's webinar will discuss all the burning issues whichever are going on in GST. Good evening, Sujit ji. Good evening. Hello, sir. Hello. Yes. So I think 100 plus participants are there on YouTube as well. I'm able to see now. Many are. Nilesh Gajjar ji has joined. Yes, Nilesh ji, Sudhir Halakandi ji को भी लाएंगे, बिल्कुल लाएंगे sir. Don't worry, he is our good friend. Kanhaiya Lal ji, good evening, good evening. Vinayagam ji, good evening. Yeah, so 200 plus participants have already joined us. I think before the time itself, before 5 p.m. itself, and many of them are also joining now. Good evening, Jafar Ali ji. Good evening. If you have any internet issues in respect to hearing us or viewing our video, please you can press on reconnect button or you can just check your internet connection. Advocate Prashant Deshaval ji, good evening sir. Attending first time, great sir, great. Good to see many people attending first time. Yes sir, I need your classes. Ankit ji, classes भी देंगे Ankit ji, बिल्कुल चिंता मत करिए. अमिताभ रॉय जी, शैलेश जी आप भी हैं, हमें पता है सर, टेंशन मत लीजिए बिल्कुल. रौनक खंडेलवाल जी ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. Yes. So many people are joining now. I think we should start the session. So before starting the session, as I mentioned that if you have any problems with respect to audio issues or video issues, please press on reconnect button anytime during the session. Also, you can check your internet connection. Second thing is today's topic. Before starting today's topic, before even informing today's topic, I would like to inform that today's session will be super interactive session. It will be a purely question answer based session, and बहुत मजा आने वाला है. You will enjoy this session. So please stay with us. Please be with us for the next maybe 1.5 hours, and you will love this session. We will be discussing all the burning issues which are coming on GST. So when I circulated this message in one of the WhatsApp group, so one of my friend replied, sir, if the issues are burning, you can pour some water. Yes, sir. So today we will be pouring some water on those issues and you will be enjoying this session, right? So this was with respect to the topic. If you have any questions, you can just mention in the chat box anytime during the session. With respect to Arpit ji's introduction, I think many of you would be already knowing him. There is no actually requirement to introduce Arpit ji, but still I'll be introducing Arpit ji in front of you all. So if I talk about Arpit ji, his degrees, CA, CS, CWA, LLB, he has also done PhD and DSA, DIRM. I think there is no ending list for his degrees. Rather, there is no course left to pursue for him. Obviously, graduation as well. He has more than 18 years of experience in the field of direct taxation, indirect taxation, and audit as well. He has authored various books on GST. I still remember many of books I have also read. They have been published by Tax1 Publications, one of the most named publications in the country. He has also written various blogs, articles. He keeps on writing blogs, and whenever he sends me at the night, I always read them. He always publishes his blog on gst-online.com. You can also visit his website and you can read his blogs. They are super interesting. Next point is seminars, webinars. I think there is no ending number to that. He has addressed 700 plus seminars across the country. If I count the number of webinars, they must be, I think, doubled now, considering the lockdown going on. Yes. So, last but not the least, he has 18,000. Rather, now I was seeing just now, he has now 19,000 plus subscribers on Twitter. So I really congratulate him for this. And with respect to this, so this was his brief intro. And many of the participants have joined. I think 300 plus is the number now. Lalit Kumarji, good evening. Good evening. Rohit ji is saying he looks like 18. नहीं sir, sweet 16 लगते हैं मेरे को. श्रीनगर से भी ज्वाइन करें सर, जम्मू कश्मीर से ज्वाइन करें, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. वेरी नाइस, वेरी नाइस. Yeah. So all my South Indian friends, you can stay with us. Don't worry if we will be speaking anything in Hindi, we will translate for you as well. Sanjay Nagpal ji, great sir, great. Now let's start the session. And before starting the session, Arpit ji, please some words. I'm just keep on speaking. Please, please. Arpit ji, your mic is on mute. Please unmute.
Thank you, Neeraj, for giving me the opportunity again. And we are here today on this super interactive session. And as we, am I audible?
Yes, yes, perfect, perfect.
And as you have said that it would be a super interactive session, and for the first time I am joining a session like this, and I have only agreed to this session because my co-host is at par with me and more than I can say more knowledgeable than me. So therefore, all the participants here, along with both with two of us, it would be I hope something new for all the persons who are present here. So with this expectation and aspiration that at the end of the today's session, everyone would be happy and knowledge enhancing session. So I hand it over back to you, sir.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Arpit ji. First of all, I think I would like to inform, I think Atul ji is writing audio is not clear, sir. Please check your net connection or you can just reconnect or refresh. Audio and video is perfect from our side. Brij Mohan ji, good evening. Yes. So chat I have marked as private now because otherwise there will be a spam of messages. We'll be asking questions from you all. So please be active and please be interactive. Don't feel that कि सर बस एक पिक्चर चला के रख दी है साइड में मोबाइल पे और वो चलती रहेगी. It's not like this. So you have to participate during the webinar. It will be a purely question answer based session, right? Now we'll start the session. So first question, I think I'll be answering all the participants first because then we'll be taking Arpit ji's opinion as well. So the first question, I think it would be visible on your screen now. So the first question is whether interest for delay in payment of GST, right? The notification recently came, notification number 63 came that interest for delay in payment of GST will be charged on net cash tax liability. This dispute was going on from so long. It was discussed in council meeting as well on 14th March, and finally a notification came, notification number 63. So the question to you all is whether it will be applicable retrospectively or prospectively. So the question is on your screen on YouTube. I think unfortunately the poll is not available, but the people joined on Webinar Jam today, 350 plus people on Webinar Jam and 200 plus participants on YouTube, almost 600 plus people now. So my question to you all is whether it will be applicable retrospective basis or prospective basis. So I can see the answers coming now. It is there on your screen. If you are not able to select the poll, don't worry at all. You can mention in the chat also. Srinivas ji is saying retrospective basis. I am able to see so many questions, many answers coming up. Now I am ending this poll and let's see the answers. So if you see the answers, retrospective basis is 45% and prospective basis is 54%. So I can say that it's actually a tie. And now you can assume why I kept the topic of this session as burning issues in GST. Because these kind of issues are so confusing sometimes. Notification came, after some time the press release came. That came obviously because we all shouted on Twitter like anything, right? So 45% people are saying retrospective basis, 54% are saying on prospective basis. The answers on your screen, right? Now I request RPG to please give his opinion also, that whether it is at first, I have two questions actually, whether it is applicable retrospective basis or prospective basis. Second question, let's say for example a taxpayer has already paid the taxes on gross tax liability, right? Rather paid the interest on gross tax liability, whether that amount will be refunded or not. I have rather a critical question. So two questions from you, Arpit, please. Arpit, your mic. Uh, Arpit, it's not audible. Your mic is switched off, I think. Yes, perfect.
The first question, that whether it is prospective or retrospective. So as on today, if you would be asking me, it is prospective, because
Okay.
the amendment in the act has been made, but so therefore once the amendment has been made, the amendment presently is from 1st September 2020. So the 56%, is there something issue with the voice?
No, no, perfect. Actually, the chat lags for 10 seconds. Please continue.
So the 56% people who said that it is prospective were not entirely wrong. They were correct if they have given the answer as on today. But subsequently, as you said, that there was a press release which said that although the amendment is prospective, but we would not be making any recoveries in this respect. This is because on 14th of March, the government, the council made a decision that we would be bringing the amendment with a retrospective effect. So the government, although they have brought in it is a prospective manner, would be amending it subsequently and making it retrospective, and that is why there was a need to issue a press release. Although they have said that there was a technical reason for not bringing it retrospectively, so admitting that there might be something because the legislature has thought so, but giving them the benefit of doubt and understanding that they are sitting and governing the entire country with a single law. So there must have been some reason. Therefore, presently it is prospective, but it would be retrospective in future. And since there would be no recoveries from the taxpayer, so they can sit easy. But my one submission is, pay your interest on a net cash basis if there is any. Don't try to keep it with you until until the demand is raised, we would pay then once a demand is raised. So this is the first part. The amendment at present is prospective but would be retrospective in due future, and until it is made retrospective, no recoveries would be made from the taxpayers. Second part, which you have said that once supposedly if a person has paid tax on a gross liability basis, whether he would be refunded or not. See, when I am paying the interest, I have not collected the interest from any person. I am paying it out of my own pocket. So once I have paid it out of my own pocket and our law is amended retrospectively, so I am very, very well entitled to claim the refund of that part of interest. And if we go through the minutes of GST Council meeting of 21st June 2019, a specific query was raised, and that's why they did not made it retrospectively from June 2009 in the council meeting of June 2019, because before council a representation was made by the board that if the amendment is made from a retrospective basis, some 1500 odd crore rupees interest which has been collected on gross basis would have to be refunded back to the taxpayers. So this was the only reason for not bringing it retrospective since the inception. But subsequently, when there was hue and cry from the taxpayers, they decided in March 20 that it would be made retrospective, and the taxpayers would be eligible to claim refund of the interest if they have paid it on a gross basis, provided the government does not bring a notification waiving whatever interest which have been paid previously on a gross basis and waives that part of liability and disentitles the taxpayers from claiming refund of that part of interest.
Got it. So if I conclude the first question, as people were asking, so first is currently it applies on prospective basis. However, a notification will be released very soon on which it will be written as retrospective basis, because due to technical issues, it is not being applicable right now. The second point, as you mentioned, the refund. Yes, people can claim refund if they have paid earlier, if they have paid the interest on gross tax liability, provided that the government does not bring a specific notification restricting that refund, right? So I conclude this first question with your opinion, right? I hope it is clear to all the participants. Hardeep ji, very good afternoon. Ashwin ji, आपका questions थोड़ा सा अलग है, एंड में Q&A session होगा, उसमें ले लेंगे. Many questions are there, don't worry. I think many of your questions will be answered there in the webinar itself. Guru Raj ji, Karnataka se. So all the people watching on YouTube, I request all of you to please subscribe our channel. 300 plus people are on YouTube now, and 400 plus are on webinar jam. So it's actually a very engaging webinar going on. Now my next question. I am putting now the next question to you, all the participants. So please be ready, and you have to answer the next question, right? So the next question is a very debatable question, coming again and again on Twitter, on many people asking this question. So the question is, I repeat for all the YouTube participants, the question is whether purchase data in GSTR4 is mandatory or not. In GSTR4, whether you need to mandatorily enter the purchase data, yes or no. Because from where this question is coming up is, many of the people were saying composition scheme is very simple, simple to comply and everything. And why they are asking GSTR purchase data in GSTR4, right? So first question is whether it is mandatory or not. Many people are answering, so please keep on answering the question. I am able to see the poll now. So 80% people are saying yes, and 18% are saying no. So now I can say that yes, my audience is very much, aware of the things going on in GST. And the previous question, since it was very confusing, so the answer was in between. Yes, so 79% are saying yes, right? Now I'll end the poll. So the poll, the answer, if you see, 79% of the people have said yes, and 20% of the people have said no, right? So this is the poll coming up, the answers to the poll coming up. Now my opinion, rather, I would ask Arpit ji to please debate on this thing. And first of all, if it is mandatory, I would ask that why it is mandatory. Please, over to you, sir.
Rajat ji, the first thing is that insertion of purchase details in GSTR4 is obviously mandatory, since the government has not waived that compliance. If we see the past history, the quarterly GSTR4 which we used to file, there was a specific waiver for filing of purchase detail at that time, but the government has not waived that compliance at for this time, so we have to file it. What is the relevance of getting the purchase details from the composition taxpayers? It is a somewhat baffling situation, because they are not claiming the credit, first thing. Second, they are not required to pay tax on unregistered purchase. There is no applicability of RCM for the year 1920. So what they would be achieving is the one thing which is in the domain of the legislature. But while the taxpayers are filing GSTR4, they should be well aware that whatever details they are filling in this form, they would be cross-matching it with the income tax returns, or the income tax authorities would be cross-matching it with the GSTR4. And since GSTR4 is being filed 5 months after the end of the financial year, or say 7 months after the financial year, it has to be ensured that it should be in line with the details which are being filed in income tax return. There should not be a case where entries are being shown in 4A but they are not entered in GSTR4 and they are not entered in books, or the entries have been entered in GSTR4 on the basis of 4A but they have not been entered in the books of accounts. And in that case, there would be a big mismatch and there would be problem in IT return assessment. So yes, details have to be filled, but they have to be filled with a caution. We cannot take it lightly. And what happens if I am not filling it? This is another big question. What would happen if I will not? क्या कर लेगा गवर्नमेंट में? नहीं भर रहा भाई, क्या फर्क क्या पड़ेगा? टैक्स ही तो भरना है, तो भर दिया टैक्स हमने सेल पे, तो उससे क्या नुकसान पड़ेगा? See, there is a section called section 125, which says that there is a general penalty of 25,000 in CGST and 25,000 SGST. And there was a circular in February 2019 which said that अगर आपने देखा होगा, there is a column in GSTR 3B which provides for filling of B2C interstate sales on a state basis, and generally people are not filing that column. So there is a circular that if people are not filling that column, while filing GSTR 3B, the proper officer can levy a penalty of 25,000 CGST and 25,000 in SGST. So if I am not filling GSTR 4 properly and without purchase details, I am filling it blank and only submitting with sale detail, there is a possibility then that a proper officer can invoke section 125 and levy a penalty of 25,000 CGST and SGST. So this is the risk I am taking if I am not filling the purchase details.
Thank you so much, Arpit, for this opinion. I think many of you would be agreeing to his opinion because already 79% people said that yes, it is mandatory, right? And in the chat also, many of them mentioned. So yeah, because consequences, knowing the consequences are also very important, right? Okay, please clear RCM for composition dealer, Shwetaji. Don't worry at all. We have many questions coming up. So maybe this question also comes up during the webinar, right? Now, next question. Which question should I ask Arpit ji? Now I'm confused actually. Which question should I put up? पूछता है भारत. just like Arnab Goswami asked, no? भारत को जवाब चाहिए जवाब. Okay, next question. Okay, next question is a bit complicated one. I think it's there on the screen, so participants have to answer first. So the next question is that for the financial year 18-19, whether a composition dealer needs to file both GSTR 4 and GSTR 9A as well, right? And the yes no is going on. So it is in between, coming up in between. So people are confused totally that whether they have to file both GSTR 4 and 9A or only GSTR 4, yes or no. Both yes or no. 50%, 50, it's going on all way. Yeah. So I hope you all are enjoying the questions now. So if I show you the results now, it's again a tie. So 48% people are saying yes. So for the financial year 18-19, 48% of the people say yes, they have to file both GSTR 4 and 9A. However, 51% people say that no, both doesn't need to file, only GSTR 4 itself is enough. So Arpit ji, I request you to please give your opinion in this, with obviously with the reference to notifications or whatever. Please.
देखिए, मैं what I would like to cover is both 18-19 and 19-20. Let's try to cover both the years. So first thing, whether it is mandatory to file both GSTR 4 and GSTR 9A, yes. If we see the relevant rule and the provisions, GSTR 4 is not replacing GSTR 9A because my annual return is coming from separate rule and my GSTR 4 is coming from separate rule. So as of now, if I say 2018-19 and 19-20, yes, GSTR 4 and GSTR 9A both have to be filed. But for 18-19, there is a circular, there is a notification which says that up to 2 crore rupees, there is no requirement to file GSTR 9A. So for 18-19, there would be no such requirement because the composition scheme limit is 1.5 CR. But subsequent to that, for 19-20, if the government does not bring any amendment, people would be required to file both GSTR 4 and GSTR 9A for 19-20. I think there is a something lacuna in the law which would be covered up subsequently when the issue would be raised at most of the platforms. And until then, the issue is resolved, both GSTR 4 and GSTR 9A are required to be filed. If we see GSTR 4 is coming from, if I am correct, Rule 62 and GSTR 9A is coming from Rule 80. And my annual return is coming from Section 44. So there are two different sections, two different rules and the compliance of two different rules. So filing GSTR 4 would not absolve from filing GSTR 9A until the government brings suitable amendment.
So if I conclude, Arpit, this question, so for 17-18 and 18-19, 9A is optional, right? And for 19-20, you have to file both. So the question which was for 18-19. So the people who were saying that you have to file both, it's actually wrong. For the financial year 18-19, GSTR 9A is optional. So please don't worry about that. Only GSTR 4 needs to be filed, right? Now I'll take some questions from the chat if they are related to this question. Kameshwar ji, very good discussion is going on. Thank you, sir. Yes, we will be continuing the discussion. Dheeraj Kukreja ji, unable to join. Sir, please refresh or reconnect. As annual return, there is a limit of 2 crore. Perfect answer. Then next is Abhimanyu Juneja ji, quarterly GSTR 4. Sir, GSTR 4 is now annually. Quarterly was earlier. Quarterly CMP 08. Okay, I think this question is done now. ITC 04, Vinodji, coming to that question as well. I know what you want to ask. So already I have, I have prepared that list of questions. So don't worry at all, right? So the next question is with respect to GSTR 2B. For the people who don't know what is GSTR 2B, it's a new report which have been launched by government, which has been released by the government. It gives you a actually brief summary that how much amount you can claim for ITC, right? To which I don't agree to some extent, and I would also ask Arpit ji afterwards, because now I need to ask all the participants, all the public needs to answer, all the audience needs to answer, because see, this is actually a test going on, right? Because you also should know how much aware you are with respect to the GST amendments coming up every night 10 p.m. Starting the poll now. So the question is, if GSTR 1 is filed after generation of GSTR 2B, the question I repeat for my YouTube participant, I am also able to read the YouTube comments now. Aditya Singhal ji, Parav Chaudhary ji, Kiran Mohan ji. The question is, if GSTR 1 is filed after generation of GSTR 2B, so GSTR 2B will be generated on the 11th. It is a new report which has been launched. Can I still claim ITC? Right? It's a debatable question again, because GSTR 2A, it was earlier they were restricting up to 10%. Now GSTR 2B, they are saying you can claim only this ITC. So I think many people are answering. So please keep on answering the question. I'm loving it. Yes is 76% and no is 24% till now. I would love to see the answers, final answers. Siva Rajuji, is there any chances of extending due date for GSTR 9? Arey sir, batayenge. We'll also tell you GSTR 9. Amitabh Roy ji, is there revision option in GSTR 4? As far as I know, sir, there is no revision option in GSTR 4. Amit ji is saying yes, yes. So I'll end the poll now. And the poll, if you see the results, so 75% people are saying yes, we can claim ITC, even if the GSTR 1 is filed after generation of GSTR 2B. 24% are saying no. So maybe out of those 24, some of them might be not knowing what is GSTR 2B. So Arpit ji, please explain them first what is GSTR 2B. Second, whether they can claim in this situation ITC, yes or no.
Rajat this is again a question which is sort of the first question we took on the today's session, wherein 56% gave that it is prospective and 44% gave it is retrospective, and both were correct. In their own estimate, both were correct. And here also the 100% जो results हमारे सामने आए हैं, they both are correct. One from the perspective of taxpayer and second from the perspective of the department. So first coming to hand, how they would be correct, how they are correct, we will be discussing it later on. First thing, how GSTR 2B would be issued. As per the directives of the government, GSTR 2B would be issued on after 11th when the due date of filing of GSTR 1 is complete. When government says that it would be generated after the last date of filing of GSTR 1, that is on 12th, there they are missing out firstly on the quarterly filers who are required to file GSTR 1 on a quarterly basis. Because the persons who are filing on quarterly basis, they would be filing say on July, October. So therefore there is a need to generate 2B on that date also. And secondly, when they say that they would be allowing only credit which is there in 2B on say 12th of a month, this is again coming from a circular which they issued when GSTR 2A and 20% rule was inserted. There in that circular they said that whatever ITC which is being reflected in 2A on 12 would be allowed to be claimed as ITC while filing GSTR 3B. So when the 24% people say that they would only be allowed to claim on that date, it is coming from that circular. But whether the circular is in line with Rule 36.4, keeping aside the constitutional validity of Rule 36.4, treating that Rule 36.4 is a complete code in itself, whether 36.4 is saying that whatever ITC which is reflected on the last date of filing of GSTR 1 would be allowed to be claimed, it does not say. It only says that whatever ITC is being reflected on 2A, the ITC can be claimed to 110 or 120% of that amount. So whenever I am filing the return, say for the month of July 20, if 36.4 is applicable, and I am filing a return on say December 20. So whatever ITC which is being reflected to me as on that date I would be eligible to claim irrespective what was showing on 12th of August 2020. Because if I am restricting it only to the 12th of the next month, that is due date of filing of GSTR1, subsequent to due date of filing of GSTR1, then in that case, I am restricting it beyond the scope of the law. Supposedly, I filed the return of July 20, say going into July 2021. And till that time, all my suppliers have filed their GSTR1. But on August 12th, August 2020, only 20% of suppliers would have filed. So whether my credit would only be restricted 20% when all my suppliers have filed their GSTR1 as on that date till July 2021. So treating that 36(4) is constitutionally valid, then in such case, my credit cannot be restricted up to due date of filing of GSTR1. They had to be taken up to the date when I am filing my GSTR3B of that month, be it any date.
Also, Arpit, what is your opinion with respect to the quarterly GSTR1 filers? Because I think they have totally ignored with respect to GSTR2B.
Now what would be happening to them? That supposedly if I have to file my GSTR3B, say I am filing my GSTR3B for September 2020. So the portal would be generating GSTR2B on 12th of October 2020.
Agreed.
I have to file my GSTR3B on 20th October 2020. Supposedly I file my GSTR3B on 5th November 2020. Now GSTR, between that date, there is a due date of filing of GSTR1 for quarterly taxpayers. They would have filed by 31st of October. But my GSTR2B would be reflected on 12th October 2020, even though the suppliers have filed their GSTR1. So generating GSTR2B only on the last date, that is also for the monthly filer, is taking away my correct credit. GSTR2B has to be generated after every due date of filing of GSTR1, not only with respect to monthly filer, because if I go with the intention of the government, even if I file my GSTR3B on 5th November 2020, I would only be eligible to claim up till 12th October 2020. And if I am filing after 15th, say on 15th November 20, then I can claim because my 2B would be generated on 12th November 2020.
Correct. Correct. So these are, I hope you all are enjoying, because see, these are the questions which we keep on asking on Twitter, or maybe we keep on asking from other people. These are some of the practical questions, right? Whether we can claim ITC if it is not being shown in GSTR2B, whether we can claim ITC if GSTR1 is filed after GSTR2B generation. These are some of the practical questions. Now, one question which is coming in chat, which I don't have poll for, the only question before I move on to the next questions which are mentioned in the poll. So what is your opinion, Arpit, whether due date for GSTR 9 will be extended or not? I know it's actually a very vague question, but many of my participants are asking कि सर GSTR 9 की तारीख फिर से तारीख पे तारीख होगी या नहीं होगी, बस वो बता दीजिए.
सर देखिए, I cannot comment कि बढ़ेगी कि नहीं बढ़ेगी. I can only say that it should extend.
Okay. ठीक है. So जैसे अर्पित जी का
possibility it might be extended, but I cannot say a guarantee because we at Jodhpur were the persons who had to file a writ petition before Rajasthan High Court for that extension.
Okay. So as Arpit ji's opinion goes off that GSTR 9 may be extended, I also support Arpit ji's opinion in this. And again there will be a तारीख पे तारीख, फिर से रात को 10 बजेंगे सर, और फिर से WhatsApp हमारा भर जाएगा. So yeah. So before moving on to the next question, I have some information to be made, a very nice information for you all, which will help you a lot. So we are starting a GST course, none other than by Arpit Haldia ji, which will be starting day after tomorrow only, and it will help you a lot with respect to the effective learning, because we will be taking 12 sessions altogether, and the people who have joined this webinar, whether on YouTube, whether on Webinar Jam, we have a special offer from team OPTOTAX that this GST course of 12 live session will be available only for 3499 including GST for all my webinar participants, right? And link I am just sharing on your chat box, so you can just subscribe to that GST course which is starting from day after tomorrow. I'm also giving you the exclusive discount on this webinar. So the discount on your screen, the link is on your screen. You can just click here to register and enroll to that course. It will be a super interesting course, as you are seeing right now. totally engaging session, right? It will not be boring like other, see, because we all have books at our offices, at our home, right? We can read where at any time, any point of time. What matters is the critical analysis which we are doing right now, if you are able to see now in this webinar. So we will be continuing doing this critical analysis in the course also, which is starting from day after tomorrow. It is a 12 live session course. We have kept exclusive 2 sessions for question answers, and I'll just show you the detailed agenda also, because many people are asking that what is the detailed agenda, please show us what topics you will be covering. So this is the detailed agenda. If you are able to see my screen, it starts from day after tomorrow, 5th September, right? And there will be 12 live sessions of 2 hours each. The timing of live session will be 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And all live session will be conducted on Wednesday and Saturday. If you see the price on my screen, it is actually 4499. However, the link which I have provided says only 3499, including GST. We will also be issuing a tax invoice to you, so don't worry about that. If I talk about benefits of this course, so yes, recordings are also included as a part of this course. If you are, sometimes if you are busy somewhere, you are not able to attend the live session, don't worry at all. We'll also be providing recording on view basis. So in this price 3499, recordings are also included, so you can enroll. What are the benefits we'll be discussing? There will be a critical analysis, in-depth understanding of ITC provision, refunds provision, including inverted duty structure. Many of you have confusion in inverted duty structure. RCM, job work, place of supply, time of supply. We'll be discussing all the provisions in depth. There is also a practical aspect and clarification session on GSTR 9 and 9C. Many people are still facing issues while filing GSTR 9. There will be discussion on landmark AAR, AAR judgments, High Court judgments, Supreme Court judgments, AAR, AAR rulings. If I show you the detailed schedule, so session 1 is in-depth meaning of important definitions, right? Second session is levy and supply under GST. We'll be discussing in detail. Third session is value of supply. Now, the most important point in value of supply session is the treatment of discount in GST regime, because many people are confused how to deal with the discount part, right? If we have given something free of cost, what will happen? If we have given some discount, what will happen? Session 4 will be ITC condition eligibility. In depth, we will be discussing section 16, 16 subsection 2, 16 subsection 4. We'll be discussing everything in the course. Session 5, exclusive session for reversal and block credit. What happens is 17 subsection 5, one of the most important section of ITC, which has irritated many of the tax professionals. So block credit, we'll be discussing immovable property. Definition of immovable property is very important, right? Session 6 will be GSTR 9 and 9C. Session 7 will be specifically for question answers. Whatever your queries will be, they will be answered in that session. So on YouTube also, I have given the special offer link. You can just click on that link and you can enroll, because many people were asking that on YouTube we are not able to see the link. So I have given in the chat box. Now the next is time of supply, intrastate supply, place of supply of goods, session 8. Session 9 will be specifically for place of supply of services. In-depth discussion, POS of services, right? RCM and job work. Many of you have questions with respect to RCM, whether ITC will be available in RCM or not, if I deposit the RCM right now, right? Job work, many of you have confusions. One of the most important session, which we all have confusion, inverted duty structure, especially when it comes to services, refunds of services, right? So inverted duty structure, refunds, export refunds, we are also having a session, and the final session will be session 12, Q&A. So there are 2 earmarked session for question answer. Who should enroll for this course? All the CAs in practice, CA in service, whether you are a tax advocate, GST practitioner, GST consultant, all of you should enroll to this course. Coming to Arpitji's profile, I have already discussed his profile. So he's a CA, he's a CS, he's a CWA expertise. You are already seeing the way he's answering all the questions. He has more than 18 years of experience. He has done 700 plus webinars and seminars. He has also authored various books on GST, which have been published by Taxman Publication. He has also written various articles and blog. And yes, he has done PhD as well, right? Professional membership, I think there is no actually need to discuss his brief profile. Still, I was discussing for all of you. So I hope you all will be subscribing to this course. See, because what happens is, I'll tell you, in the free webinars we attend, right? Generally what happens, we attend maybe for half an hour, maybe for 40 minutes, and then we say कि चल ठीक है यार, अब 25-30 मिनट के लिए attend कर दिया, छोड़ दो. ये learning नहीं होती. This is not learning, right? To get effective learning, We have to sit there and we have to analyze whatever is being discussed. And when it happens, sir, jab you pay something, no, then the effective learning comes, because the human behavior is that we have paid something for this, right? Then only the learning also goes into directly to your mind. Second reason for enrolling to a paid course, many of you ask that there are so many free webinars going on, right? My question is, whenever a free webinars happen, right, 1,000 people join, 2,000 people join, whether your queries are answered specifically one by one, right? The answer is no. Why? Because it is not possible itself, because the participants are so much. Even if we try to compile, it is not at all possible in just a 2-hour session, right? So in this course, we will be compiling all your queries in an Excel sheet, and we will be answering all your questions in depth, in detail, in written Excel file, right? Next reason for joining this course is, again, as I mentioned, many of my friends ask me that, sir, why, our clients are not loyal these days? See, because even a client sees there are so many options available, right? Itne sare options hai, sir. So even a client sees that whether the person with whom I'm seeking that consultancy has that specific knowledge or not. For example, a person doing export, right? A client doing exports will be going to a professional, obviously, who has the knowledge, in-depth knowledge with respect to the uh, exports, right? So this is why a paid course is also important along with the free webinars. Yes, free webinars are also very good, as we are doing currently. Many of your queries get answered, but yes, time to time paid courses are also necessary. There are some questions coming in chat. I'll just take those questions. Uh, Registration done. Ashutosh Sharma ji is saying already subscribed to the course. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yes. So if you have any question, सर हिंदी इज मिसिंग, अरे पंकज जी हिंदी में भी कर देंगे, टेंशन मत लीजिए. सो अगर आपके कुछ भी सवाल हिंदी में हो, आप हिंदी में भी पूछ सकते हैं. मिलिंद जी सेइंग ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर्ड. Somen Roy ji, please don't worry about that. I'll ask my colleague to call you and settle the issue. Don't worry about that. Already registered, Soman ji is saying. Ankit ji is saying I need. Yes, yes, sir. So I've already given you the link. Sundar ji is also saying that he has subscribed. I've already given you the link. I'll again give you the link in the chat box for the course. So you all should enroll to this course, because it will be an in-depth discussion, critical analysis of all the provisions GST, and it is starting day after tomorrow. We are also giving exclusive 20%, rather 20, more than 20% discount to all the participants who have joined today's webinar. If you can see on my screen, the price is actually 4499. However, we are giving you only for 3499, including recordings as well. Recordings will be valid for a month. You can view at any time at your convenience, right? Also, last but not the least, see, what I believe is learning is always an investment, right? It's not an expenditure. Many people say that why I should enroll to a paid course, right? See, learning is always an investment. You can say that it's actually a fixed asset, just like land. सर फिक्स एसेट बहुत सारे हैं हमारे पास, बट सब पे डेप्रिसिएशन लगता है, लैंड पे कभी नहीं लगता. लर्निंग भी ऐसी है, जो हमारी नॉलेज है ना, वो बहुत टाइम तक काम आती है. इट एक्चुअली इट्स एक्चुअली लाइक सीड्स. जब आप बीज बोते हैं तो फिर खेती अलग ही नजर आती है, राइट? सो विद दिस आई थिंक आई एम डन विद द इंफॉर्मेशन. आई एम ऑल्सो रजिस्टर्ड. राजू जी, सुरेश जी, डन, राइट? If you are not able to register, don't worry. You can just mention in the chat box that I want to register and not able to register. I'll ask my colleagues to call you, right? Don't worry at all. So Tarun Pal ji is saying an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. Absolutely agreed, sir. Tarun Pal ji is already saying that. And I hope you all will subscribe to this course. And with this, let me move to my next question. Also, many of you were mentioning, some of the participants were mentioning that, sir, where should I, what should I do if I want to highlight some issue or something? So I'm just giving an example by presenting my Twitter profile, though I don't do that much, but I want to show you something. So I'm not taking the credit that whether the due date for GSTR4 was extended because of that tweet, because there were many people who tweeted, and the information was passed to the senior people. I want to inform you, whatever you write on Twitter, right? Whether you share, whether you like, whether you retweet or whatever. I'm truly new to Twitter. I was not on Twitter earlier. Arpit ji has already 19,000 plus subscribers. So I made a tweet at almost what time? 7:30 p.m. I remember on 31st August, 7:30 p.m. Right? And just after 10 minutes, 7:43 p.m., the due date was applied on the GST portal. This is GST portal law, another law which has now come into picture, right? So what happens is whenever you tweet, whenever you share, the information reaches, right? आपका काम है कर्म करना, फल की इच्छा मत करिए, right? Date extend हो जाती है, सब कुछ हो जाता है. So I was asking three things here. R4 date extension, purchase data should not be asked in GSTR4, and GSTR 9A should be eliminated. These three things were asked. R4 date extension already happened just after 1 hour, right? Now only two things are pending. Purchase data should not be asked and GSTR 9A should be eliminated. बहुत सारे मेरे दोस्त कहते हैं सर आप छोटे टैक्स पेयर को सपोर्ट नहीं करते. ऐसा नहीं है सर, आप ट्विटर पे जाके देखिए. Composition taxpayers I always support. We always raise voice. Arpit ji has tweeted so many times. If you have not shared, retweeted, please do it, right? And if you have not subscribed to my Twitter channel, you can subscribe to that. If you can just visit that Twitter channel, this post is there, right? अर्पित जी की प्रोफाइल तो आपको मेरे ट्विटर पे ही मिल जाएगी सर. यू डोंट नीड टू गो एनीवेयर. सो आई कीप ऑन टैगिंग अर्पित जी एनी टाइम. So if you can see, this is Arpit ji's profile. So he also keeps on tweeting, mentioning whatever he has written already. He has written so many books on GST. So 19,000. See, he has already mentioned that for composition dealers, these are his blogs, right? So you should visit Twitter. You should keep sharing all these posts, because this is the information which reaches to the top level authorities, right? So with this, so somebody is saying, sir, please अपने Twitter का link दे दीजिए. दे देते हैं sir, वो भी दे देते हैं. Don't worry about that. So I have given you that Twitter link on your screen. If you want, you can also follow OPTOTAX channel. I'll just show you. So you can just search on Twitter OPTOTAX, and you can just follow our channel. We keep on updating GST updates. We keep on posting GST updates daily almost. We have just started, so almost 700 followers only. But with your love and support, I can bet you that this 700 will be surely 7,000 very soon. So yeah, with this, I think let me stop sharing my screen now and let me continue with the question answers. Avani ji is saying, even you are not mentioning, or please arrange different webinar for exporter. Avani ji, as I mentioned, for exports, refunds, don't worry, we have a specific session in the course. If you specifically want a session for exporters, you can subscribe to our course. Vikas ji is saying, must say your software is amazing. Sir, abhi to bahut kuch baki hai. Okay, now let me ask the next question from Arpit ji. Another interesting question coming up on your screen. Whether interest is required to be added to the turnover. Next question. Why I am asking this question? What happens is, whenever I try to register anybody in GST, the registration part is in dilemma actually. Is it very confusing, because it says that the turnover calculation itself, section 2 mein agar definition we see, it says okay, it includes exempt supply, it includes these many supplies, right? So whether interest is required to be added to the turnover is another tough question to answer. If you can see on my screen, 48% are saying yes and 54 are saying no. So again, there will be a tie. Yes, so I think let the participant answer first, and then I think we'll be taking the question. So Arpit ji, I also request you to please tell us what we'll be discussing in this course in detail. What will be actually different from other courses or other webinars going on these days, please.
Ji, since it is a 12 session course and we have dedicated sessions for each topic specifically, like I haven't seen a webinar where a dedicated session has been given for discussions of definitions in GST. And what we would be doing, it is clear from the first session only, where we have given a 2-hour session for discussion on important terms and definitions in GST, including that of business, consideration, goods and services. See, जो आज अब मैं आपको सिर्फ ये the question which you have put on poll, it originates from the definition only. What we are missing in GST is that we are directly going on to the rate notification and directly going on to the registration and directly going on to the turnover part without analyzing whether say for example interest, whether it is a supply or not. The first thing which needs to be seen is whether it is a supply. And when I discuss that whether it is a supply or not, as per section 7(1)(a), I have to see that whether it is in the course of furtherance of business. And when I need to see that whether it is in the course of furtherance of business, I need to refer the definition of business which has been given in section 2. And when I see the definition of business, I couldn't find a single clause wherein the interest portion can be regarded as business. What we are doing is the default mentality is whatever I am receiving is a supply. अगर ऐसी ही बात होती तो फिर बिजनेस की डेफिनेशन देने की जरूरत ही नहीं होती. There would not have been a requirement to say that the supply of goods or services should be in the course or furtherance of business for a consideration. There is specific decision of Honorable Apex Court where in the pre-GST regime they said that if you are treating a transaction as sale of goods, first see whether it is in the course or furtherance of business, because if the condition of business is not required to be met, then what was the requirement of giving it such an elaborated definition of business? So this is how, and this is why we have planned a detailed session which we would be discussing only nitty-gritty. We would not be discussing, if anybody sees that they would be discussing those sections again and again, we would not be discussing. We would be discussing whether what is covered in the definition of business, how Calcutta Club decision is applicable in GST, and whether or not it has any implication in GST. When they say that supply of goods by a club is not a sale in pre-GST regime, so whether Calcutta Club decision is applicable in GST, whether all the past regime decisions, say in the case of Arise India, whether it is applicable for section 16 in GST. So this is how we have planned, and we would be covering only the nitty-gritties part, and nitty-gritties also those which we are facing on a day-to-day basis, which we seek to find an answer searching on Google or searching on a Twitter or searching on social media. We would be trying. See, it is a developing law, and I cannot say that whatever we would be discussing would be a finality, but it would only be a stepping stone in understanding GST. Rest all the professionals who are joining are all knowledgeable. They can all take a call that what is the next step I have to take. We can only suggest the course, but the final decision will be resting on the participants. But I assure, and to the best of my capability and ability, I would trying to cover the nitty-gritties of GST in that course. So this is what would be different. And coming to the answer part, before discussing the answer, what is the result of the poll, final poll?
So I'll just end the poll. So final poll answer is 41% is yes and 58% is no.
Okay. So the ultimate result has changed. Now coming to whether interest is required to be added to the turnover. If I see section 7(1)(a), it says that supply of service in the course of furtherance of business for a consideration is a supply. So I need to see whether it is in the course of furtherance of business. When I see section 2, definition of business, there are clauses, and out of that clauses it starts business includes trade, commerce, manufacture, adventure, wager, whether or not for a pecuniary activity, motive. So if I see business includes, it is an inclusive definition. So first thing, whether earning interest from a saving bank account is a business, I would say it is not a business. In a normal meaning of the term business. Whether it is a trade, it is not a trade. When I invest an amount in PPF, I am not engaging into a trade. I am not engaging into a manufacture. I am not engaging into a commerce. The only thing which is relevant for deciding it is adventure. Whether investing an amount or lending an amount falls within the scope of adventure. And the term adventure has not been defined in GST. If we see the decisions of English law, where they have defined adventure is an activity where I run a risk of having a considerable gain or I run a risk of having a considerable loss. So when I am depositing in a saving bank account, leaving apart the banks who have defaulted, when I am depositing a amount in a saving bank account, whether I am having a risk of having a considerable gain or a considerable loss, I am only investing for a 3% interest. When I am investing in FDR, I am only investing for a 6% interest. When I am investing in PPF, I am only investing for a 8% interest, which the government itself says is a risk-free return. So till the point I am investing in a PPF or a saving bank account or a FDR, in my view, it is not a business because I am not entering into a business activity. But supposedly, I lend an amount which has been taken out of, say, I have a business, I have a surplus fund in that business activity, and I lend it to someone else. Now that lending of business funds, lending of amount of business funds is in the course of furtherance of business, is ancillary to running of business. So in that case, if I have lent the business funds which are somewhat in excess, then it would be a business activity. Or taking a step ahead, if I have lended it see I am an individual and I have a surplus of 20 lakh, 20 lakh, I don't have any business. I have a surplus of 20 lakh rupees. I lent it to someone on a 20% interest. Now this is an adventure. And that's why if I am having a single property, commercial property, even if I lent it to someone and I am receiving a rent, it is in the course or furtherance of business because I invest in a commercial property for a significant gain earned by two courses, one through rent and second through capital gain. And when I invest in a commercial property, I don't invest it for earning a risk-free rate of return. I invest it for having a considerable advantage. That's why depositing an amount in a PPF or a FDR or saving bank interest is not an adventure, but lending a surplus funds of business or lending a amount of to a higher rate of interest or investing in a commercial property for earning a rent or a capital gain is a business activity.
Agreed. So to conclude this question, if you have, in saving bank account or in FD fixed deposit, personal fixed deposit or whatever, don't worry about that. That interest will not be included in your turnover for the GST registration, right? So
And
now,
one thing, one viewer has said that interest is an exempt supply. I again say that we need not jump to the rate notification directly. Even if it is an exempt supply, it is still required to be added. If it is an exempt supply, it is still required to be added to aggregate turnover for determining the registration turnover. But if it is not, I am saying it is not a supply, so it would not be required to add it to the turnover for registration.
so very good answer from Haldia ji. Taran ji is saying why GST is so complicated. Sir, अगर GST complicate नहीं होगा तो फिर सर हम ये webinar discussion तो हो ही नहीं पाता, right? But jokes apart, yes, it should be in a simple manner, and I think it will take some time. It's been now 3 years plus now, and many things have sorted, but still many issues are going on. See, our part is again कर्म करना हमारा वो है, कर्म हमें करना है और फल की इच्छा मत करिए सर. तो अपना काम करते रहिए सर. जीएसटी में जितने भी आप ब्लॉग्स लिख सकते हैं, whatever, see, the platform doesn't matter, right? What matters is what voice do you raise and where do you raise, right? Whether the place where you are raising the voice is correct first, and the manner in which you are raising the voice is correct or not. I have seen many people abusing some GST thing or something, whatever. That's not correct. Yeah, right? You are a professional. You should behave in a professional manner. You should raise your voice, but in a professional manner. So don't worry. Gradually, everything will be fine. GST सरल होगा तभी सफल होगा. सुधीर हलाकांडी जी बोलते हैं सर, मैं बिल्कुल सुनता हूं. तो सरल होगा तभी सफल होगा, right? Now some questions.
Ashwinji said that Gujarat AA said that PPF interest must cover. Yes, they are AA decisions, but then they are binding on the applicant only. And in my view, since in that AA also, it was not a business fund, it was a personal fund. The person was not having any business activity, he was only having personal funds. Therefore, I do not agree with that decision. I respectfully disagree with this decision, and AA decisions only help us in interpreting whether we agree or with the conclusion or not.
Agreed, Haldia ji. Also, I believe that see, AAR and AAR applies only to the respective applicant and not to the general public also. So the next question coming up is Ashish Ghai ji is asking whether certificate will be provided. Yes, sir, the certificate will be provided for the course. Don't worry at all. That certificate will be given to you after the completion of the course. Somebody is saying Gopala Krishnan ji, you want to subscribe to the course but unable to do. No problem, sir. I'll ask my colleague to call you afterwards. Now moving towards next question. Next question is, if I let me check which question should I ask now, because so this is also one confusing question which is there on your screen. So the question is, if a person has received reimbursement of expenses, expense reimbursement, right, whether it would be treated as supply, yes or no. Again, the answers are coming, 37. So yes is 33%, no is 76%. So I want answers from all of you. See, this is how the session will be engaging. Otherwise, there are many boring webinars to attend. But this is a super engaging session, so you all should participate. This will enrich your knowledge as well. If a person has received expense reimbursement, whether it should be treated as supply, yes or no. So no is increasing now and yes is decreasing. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Everyone should vote. If you are not able to vote, don't worry. You can write in chat as well. जगरूप सिंह जी सेशन हिंदी में होगा या इंग्लिश में? जगरूप जी सेशन तो इंग्लिश में ही होगा सर, बिकॉज मेनी ऑफ द पार्टिसिपेंट्स आर जॉइनिंग फ्रॉम साउथ इंडिया एज वेल, एंड वी ऑल आर इंडियंस फर्स्ट, और फिर सब स्टेट वाइज बाइफरकेट होते हैं. अगर आपका कोई भी जगरूप जी सवाल हिंदी में होगा, डोंट वरी, हम हिंदी में भी सवाल ले लेंगे. सो प्लीज आप सब्सक्राइब कर सकते हैं कोर्स को. लैंग्वेज का टेंशन मत लीजिए सर, इट विल बी इन अ वेरी सिंपल इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज, डोंट वरी एट ऑल.
ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड आती भी नहीं है.
हमें इतनी इंग्लिश आती भी नहीं है सर. प्लीज जगरूप जी टेंशन मत लीजिए. Yeah, so next I can see the poll now. Let me end the poll. So yes is 22%, is no in 77%, right? Reimbursement of expenses. See, till now even so much confusion is there, and then we say that sir हमें तो पूरा GST आता है, right? So yeah, over to you Haldia ji, please, your opinion.
देखिए, अब इसमें what we need to see is that why I am getting that amount. Let's take an example that I am a mobile, I am a person running a mobile shop, and my company says that you have to keep a staff of 5 persons, and we will reimburse that salary amount to you. Now what I do is I engage 5 persons on salary, and the monthly expenditure of that salary is 60,000 rupees. Now what I do is pay them 60,000 rupees and raise a debit note to the company of 60,000 rupees. Now that 60,000 rupees are being received by me. Now this is again a reimbursement. This is again a reimbursement. Now what would happen to this 60,000 rupees? If I see the definition of pure agent in GST, it says that the person who is acting as a pure agent should act as a person who meets the supply and the recipient. He should not be the actual beneficiary of the receipt of the services. Now, in the case which I have stated that I have engaged 5 staff persons and I have paid them salary and I have raised a debit note to the company, the question is, who is the actual person who has entered into contract with those 5 persons? Whether it is me or a company, it is me. If the company refuses to me to pay 60,000, whether I can say to those 5% that says company is not paid, I will not pay you salary. I cannot do that, because there is a contractual relationship between me and those 5%, and I have received the services of those 5%. Therefore, even if I am getting that amount of 60,000 as reimbursement, it would be a business support service and it would be liable to tax. Secondly, if say company pays me 60,000, whether there is a legal obligation on me to pay that entire 60,000 to the 5%, there is no legal obligation. I can pay 50,000 to them and 10,000 can be kept as a balance amount with me. So in cases where I am into a direct contract with the persons, then in such case, any reimbursement which is being received by me would be liable to tax. Now take a second situation. I engage those 5 persons and I put them on roll with the company. Now they are not on roll with me, they are on roll with the company. Now, if the company pays me 60,000 rupees, I pay them the 60,000 rupees. Now in this case, I am not the recipient of those services. The actual contract is between those 5 persons and the company. Therefore, even if that 60,000 is being received by me, after paying salary to them, it would not be a supply in GST. I would not be liable to pay GST. Taking another scenario, if company does not pay me 60,000, wherein those 5 persons are on roll of the company, then in such case I can say to those 5 persons that I would not be paying any salary to you. Go and ask the company to pay you the salary. because company has not paid to me. So we have to see who is the person who is actually entering into the contract. Supposedly, I am an automobile dealer. Take an example. I take a road show on behalf of the company, and suppose let's say Tata Motors says to me, कि, arrange a road show, and whatever expenses you are incurring, we will reimburse it to you. Now what I do, I arrange a road show. I take all the invoices in my name. I take the credit, and then subsequently I take the reimbursement from Tata Motors. Now, in such case, the reimbursement would always be taxable because the services for arranging that roadshow was taken by me, because all the invoices were taken in my name. Therefore, I was the recipient of the services who provided and arranged the roadshow, and in turn, when I arranged the roadshow, the Tata Motors was the recipient of my services. In what would have been the alternative equal? I should have taken all the invoices in the name of Tata Motors, and Tata Motors would have directly paid the amount to those persons if I have to act as a pure agent. So I have to be very clear that what is my role, and whenever I am entering into a contract with a third party, whether I am the recipient of those services, whether I am acting as a person who is meeting those two persons, every contract need to be seen very carefully to analyze whether an amount is being received as a reimbursement or whether it is supply or not, even if there is no profit motive. If I see definition of business, even if there is no profit motive, still it might be covered in the purview of business. So presence or non-presence of profit motive is irrelevant.
Okay, agreed, sir. So I'll take some questions with respect to the reimbursement question only. Let me check what participants are saying.
Ashutosh, direct payment to original supply is required. If the direct contract is between the two persons, even if it is reimbursed to me, it would not. The direct payment is not required in that.
Yeah, thank you. So Ashutosh ji ka question, Ashutosh ji, we have already answered your question. Now the next question is, Shamsi ji is asking if a person reimbursement received and he included in turnover and showing in ITR but not taken in GST, and GST department send notice against the same, how to reply to department concern?
See, what you have shown in ITR is not a binding precedent in GST. GST is a different law and IT is a different law. They can at best be used to compare. But whatever is taxable, see, what is taxable? What is the taxable event in income tax? It is income. The nature of income has to be there. The key characteristic of income has to be there. And what is the taxable event in GST? It is supply. Both the taxable events are different, so that it is not always possible that the turnover in both the statutes would be matching. They are only a guiding factor, but the turnover might be different. But if you have included a reimbursement in income tax return, it would not per se become a supply in GST. It has to fall within the four corners of section 7, that is the consideration, the business, the goods or services. Then only it would be falling in the purview of supply. So merely including in turnover for ITR would not per se make it a supply.
Okay. Next question is from Jyoti Prasad ji. But what if a consultant claims reimbursement of his traveling expenses on which he has already paid GST, but should he once again charge get on get again? I hope you have got the question.
Now, this is an interesting thing. Supposedly,
Arpit ji, if you can explain the question once to all the participants.
Yes. The question is, supposedly I get the assignment of bank audit at Ahmedabad, and they say that your fees is 20,000, say 50,000 rupees plus traveling expenses on an actual basis. So what I do is I raise a bill of 50,000 rupees and a traveling expenses of say 10,000 rupees, and I attach all the bills of that 20,000 rupees. Now the question is कि 50,000 पे तो मैंने GST लगा दिया. The question is about 10,000, whether it is included in supply. So first thing is, when they gave me the bank audit, the entire expenditure of going there and coming back to me was my responsibility, and they agreed to reimburse it to me. So the entire expenditure was included in value of supply, because without going there I would not have been able to provide the supply. तो पहली बात तो जब उन्होंने मेरे को बोला कि आप अहमदाबाद में ऑडिट करें, तो उन्होंने बोला कि हमने सारे सब चीजें मिला के वी हैव गिवन यू 50,000 प्लस ट्रैवलिंग एक्सपेंसेस ऑन एक्चुअल बेसिस. तो फर्स्ट थिंग अगर मैं सेक्शन 15 अप्लाई करता हूं, then in such case 10,000 is my responsibility which has been paid by the recipient. And secondly, whatever traveling bills I have annexed, whether I can say to railway, sir, bank has not paid me 10,000, I would not be paying it to you. I cannot say because I am the actual recipient. Now, what have been the alternate scenario? See, the alternate scenario is supposedly the bank would have arranged me a cab. The contract would have been between the bank and the cab owner. You have to bring the auditor from Jodhpur to Ahmedabad and we would be paying it to you. And in the contract as well, they would have provided that your audit fees is 50,000 rupees and the entire responsibility of paying of the traveling expenses is upon us. In that case, supposedly, even if I would have paid 10,000 rupees to the person and I would have claimed reimbursement, it would not have been taxable because as per contractual terms, it was the responsibility of the bank to arrange the vehicle from me. And even if I have not paid 10,000 rupees, he would have sought not from me, but from the bank. So the ultimate contract was between the bank and the cab owner in such case. But if it is not there and I am going through railway and claiming it on actual basis, I cannot say railway is a bank ne diya, main aapko nahi dunga. In that case, even if the bank is not paying, I am the actual recipient of service and I would be required to levy tax on such amount.
Agreed.
See,
Agreed.
GST never say that you have to earn profit on every amount you have to charge. You can raise a bill on a loss basis that you have incurred an expense of 40,000 rupees, but you can raise a bill of 30,000 rupees taking a hit of 10,000. You cannot say कि मेरा 40,000 खर्चा हो गया, I have only incurred 30,000 fees of 30,000, I would not levy any GST. Ultimate thing is whether it is a supply. GST is not a tax on profit. It is a tax on indirect activity. It is a tax on activity. It is an indirect tax on activity. So if I have provided an activity, whether or not profit has been earned by me, it would be leviable to tax.
Okay. So first of all, good to see almost 350 plus participants even after 1 hour and almost 300 participants live on YouTube. So you can assume now that how much engaging is this session going on. It's totally different from all the other sessions. Raksha ji, I've already read your question, but unfortunately I won't be able to take it right now because it's related to subcontract and contractor. We'll be discussing in the end Q&A session. Bijay ji is saying if tax paid by us as practitioner on behalf of the client, and afterward client reimburses the same, what
Yes.
to do?
Yes. Now,
Okay.
take this example. You have paid the tax on behalf of client. You are getting a reimbursement. Whose responsibility was to pay the tax? Is it your responsibility or client responsibility? It was the responsibility of the client. So, in such cases, if I am getting a reimbursement, it would not be a supply. There is a very good example given in case of pure engine in CGST rules that if a person has incorporated a company and he has paid say 15,000 rupees for incorporation of company to ROC and he has a charge bill of 10,000 rupees. So he has raised a bill of 10,000 of professional fees and 15,000 amount paid to ROC. The first question is whose responsibility was to pay to the ROC? It was of the consultant or the company person who is incorporating the company. It was a person who was incorporating the company. I have only paid the amount on his behalf. He is the actual recipient of the service provided by ROC. Therefore, in this case, 15,000 rupees which I have deposited in ROC would not be my supply. Only 10,000 my fees would be the supply part.
Agreed. So Anjali ji is saying that on the previous interpretation, this will be tax on tax then.
No, it would not be tax on tax. I would be charging output supply. My recipient would be getting credit, and while I would be paying tax, I would be getting credit of whatever tax has been charged to me by the by the railway or the flight airlines or the bus owner.
Okay. Savan ji is saying who will claim ITC on these expenses?
So the person to whom I am raising the bill is the recipient.
Okay.
Say if I arrange a road show for Tata Motors, I would be raising an invoice to Tata Motors. They would be claiming it there.
Correct, correct. So Vipul Jain ji saying very well explained. Thank you, sir. Bijay ji saying thank you. Let's move to the next question now. So all are ready. I hope all are ready for the next debatable question which I am going to ask. So let me ask something about ITC. Many queries comes with respect to ITC. That too combining with discount. So now what I'll do is I'll combine discount with ITC, and now I'll ask one question from. First of all, you all need to answer. I hope you all are ready. Now let's start the question. So the question is whether, for YouTube participants, I will repeat, whether ITC is required to be reversed on discount. You all need to answer yes or no. Whether ITC is required to be reversed on discount. So yes is going on at a super rapid pace. Whether ITC is required to be reversed on discount. So it's actually moving now 70, 30, 60, 40. Okay, yes, no, yes, no. It's actually moving at a too rapid pace. Yes, no. So 70% yes, 30% no. Keep on answering, keep on answering. If you are not able to answer, don't worry, you can mention in chat also. Right? Suresh ji is saying nice session. Thank you, sir. We have worked hard for this session because it's not that easy to manage this kind of session. Subhash ji is saying, sir, yes or no, it depends. So now Subhash ji has already, noticed your observation, because every time Haldia ji says, if this happens, this will happen. So now Subhash ji is saying, yes or no, it depends, right? Okay, now I'll end this poll here and let me publish the result. So 66% people are saying yes, 33% people are saying no, and yeah, so this is the final poll. So over to you, Arpit ji.
Now, the first thing, whenever I am required to reverse ITC on discount, this is a question which has been there since the advent of VAT, say in Rajasthan from 2006. I start with the legislative history and then would be coming to the GST, post GST regime. What was happening in Rajasthan was, supposedly a person has purchased goods for 100 rupees and he has paid a tax of 10 rupees. Now subsequently he receives a discount of 10 rupees. So effectively his purchase price comes to 90 rupees. He sells those goods for 95 rupees. Now there is a difference of 5 rupees, but since he has received a discount of 10 rupees, the net income is 5 rupees. The question is whether he needs to reverse the ITC on that 10 rupees. So the department made cases in abundance in Rajasthan requiring and asking the person to reverse ITC on that discount part. And matter traveled to the tribunal, Rajasthan Tax Court, and they categorically said that since there is no enabling provision in Rajasthan VAT which requires that input tax credit is required to be reversed on discount received, therefore there can be no requirement for reversal of ITC on such discount. So what Rajasthan legislature did, they brought in a specific amendment under the RVAT Act from 9th March 2011 by way of section 18(3)(a), where they said that if there is any discount, if there is any loss, if the goods have been sold at loss due to receipt of discount, so ITC would have to be reversed to that extent it is representing the discount received. So after 9th March 2011, all the ITC which was pertaining to loss due to discount was reversed, and the matter was upheld by Rajasthan High Court bench that the legislature holds the power to ask to reverse ITC in case of loss due to discount. Now coming to post GST regime, first thing, if I see section 16 subsection 1, it says that a person is eligible, entitled to claim credit on inward supplies of goods or services of the input tax charged to him. Now, what is input tax charge? Input tax charge is whatever tax I have paid through invoice to my supplier. And second, there is no enabling provision in GST which requires me to reverse the ITC in case of discount or in case of loss due to discount. So, even if there is a discount being received by me, there is no provision in GST, and section 16 subsection 1 clearly provide that as a recipient I am eligible to claim credit of input tax charged on inward supplies of goods or services or both received by me. So stay calm, you are not required to reverse any ITC due to receipt of discount. What might be the case of levy of tax in case it is treated as supply, which we would be covering in detail in our session for value of supply, and specifically I have kept that topic because we would be dedicating a substantial chunk of time discussing whether whether tax is required to be charged treating discount being received as a supply. But for reversal of ITC, there is no enabling provision in GST. And section 16 subsection 1 supports my claim also.
So Ashish Ghai ji is saying, so discount will be income.
Yes, it might be income, but it will not be supply. And if it is not supply, so reversal of ITC would only be there if it is an enabling provision. Just like there was an 18(3)(a) in RBAT Act, there is no enabling provision. It might be income. What I said, for income tax, the taxable event is income, but for GST, taxable event is supply.
Okay. Bharat ji is saying, what if a company send credit note for discount charging GST, and what to do in such cases?
See, if the company has raised me a credit note as per section 15 subsection 3 clause B, they are entitled whether they want to issue me a GST credit note or a financial credit note. If they issue me a GST credit note, then in such case I am required to reverse my ITC. But if they are giving me a financial credit note, then reversal of ITC is not there. Whether it would be treated as supply or not as per section 7, that is a completely different ballgame.
Okay. I think what if receiver issues debit note for the discount received? For supplier's value of supply will reduce to the extent of debit note. Tarun
No,
Palji.
as per section 34 and section 15(3)(b, the entitlement to issue credit note is only with the supplier, even if the recipient is receiving the debit note or a credit note or any sort of document, it would not be having any impact on the liability of the supplier.
Okay. Kameshwar ji is saying he has joined the course. Thank you, sir. To all my South Indian friends, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, don't worry at all. This course will be in English, so you can easily understand this course, right? Now, continuing the questions. Okay. Kanhaiya Lalji is saying if discount given with GST.
Yes, I say if credit note has been issued with GST, then in such case I am required to reverse. But the entire issue is if I have received discount to a financial credit note, whether in such case I am required to reverse ITC or not.
Great. Vijay ji is also saying he has enrolled to the course. Great. Let me ask the next question now. I think let's ask another question from Arpit ji. Let's try to put some ikka of my tash. Okay. कौन सा सवाल पूछा जाए अर्पित जी से? Okay. ITC का हमने पूछ लिया है. ये पूछते हैं सर. सबसे जबरदस्त सवाल है. So one of the most favorite question of mine कि when the supplier, abhi let me start the poll first. Okay, let me ask from all my audience, this is one of my favorite question, right? Section 16, 4 conditions, I hope you all remember. What to do if the supplier has not paid the taxes? Can we claim the ITC or no? Should we claim the ITC? Should we avail the ITC by keeping the relevant documents for future reference, or we should not claim the ITC, right? 2A mein nahi, if the supplier has not paid the taxes, we cannot validate, right, whether the supplier has paid the taxes or not. Taxes are paid through challan, and the copies which you keep is for GSTR 3B. You cannot validate. आशीष भाई जी कह रहे हैं सर बोथ का ऑप्शन भी होना चाहिए. So it depends on the situation. Great. Hemant Chugani ji has joined the course. Great. Anjani ji has joined the course. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, keep on answering the question. The question is more important. Should we claim ITC if the supplier has not paid the taxes, or we should not claim the ITC? Obviously, if we'll be claiming, we'll be keeping the relevant documents for future reference. So 70-30 I can see right now on my screen. If I tell you the right now polls. So ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो बीजेपी और कांग्रेस में से कौन. So please ignore my comments. So I'm not at all related to anything political. Let me end the poll now. So 74% people are saying that they will avail ITC by keeping the relevant documents for future reference. 25% people are saying they will not claim ITC because the supplier has not paid the taxes and not complied the provision of section 16. So yeah, over to you, Haldia ji, for your opinion, please.
I go with the 74% one.
Okay.
I would also claim the ITC. First thing is section 16(2)(c) says that the tax should have been paid by the supplier. And second condition it put that it should be discharged by a valid credit. So what I always say that law is expecting me to do the impossible by ensuring that my supplier has paid the tax and that too with a valid credit. The law has not given me any power to go and check his books of account. Law has not given me any power to force him or serve him with a notice that if you not file the return, I would impose a penalty upon you. So without any power, I am expected to do the everything. So as per the doctrine of impossibility, which says that a taxpayer cannot be expected to do the impossible, I cannot be forced to enforce the supplier to pay the taxes. First thing. Second, there are pre-GST regime decisions in case of Arise India Limited and RS Transmission in case of Rajasthan High Court, wherein they have said that if there is a genuine purchase and sale transaction and tax has been paid to the seller by the buyer, even though it has not been deposited by a seller, but if it is a genuine transaction, the purchaser is well entitled to claim the credit. Third thing, GSTR 2B. Now, in the first question, we have kept aside the constitution validity of GSTR 2B and Rule 36(4). Now, since 16(2)(c) has been raised and it also pertains to constitutional validity, mere reflection in GSTR 2B is not a proof of payment of tax. And there is no legal validity of GSTR 2B. If we go through the entire statute, we cannot find mention of GSTR 2B. So how can a law enforcement authority can ask me that you have to follow this document and whatever is reflecting in this document would be a binding precedent upon you? So GSTR 2B might be a trade facilitation measure, but it cannot have a legal backing unless until it is incorporated in the law. But even if it is incorporated in the law, still it is not in compliance with section 16(2)(c) because it would not ensure that supplier has paid the due taxes. It would only ensure that he has filed GSTR 1. But whether the sale reflected in 1 has been shown in 3B is not ensured. So take a worst case scenario that entry is reflecting in 2B, I claim the credit, but department comes to know that the supplier has not deposited his GSTR 3B. Whether department would not be reversing my credit, asking that since the supplier has not paid the tax, you are not eligible for credit. They would be doing it. So they cannot adopt a horses for courses approach. कि भाई ये है तो ले लेता हूँ, ये नहीं है तो मैं ये नहीं लेता हूँ. It has to be a fixed approach, going by a fixed principle, and 2B is again a part-time measure adopted just to enforce something on the table, just to bring something on the table of the taxpayer. We welcome this measure, but again, it is not in compliance with section 16(2)(c). It is not ensuring that anything which is reflected in 2B amount has been paid. So I am not bound by GSTR 2B. It is only a trade facilitation measure. Fourth, Rule 36(4). Now there is no enabling provision for Rule 36(4). One enabling provision which might have been there would have been section 43A, which is not enforced till date. Second enabling provision which the government might take recourse is section 164, which empowers the government to bring in rules for the enforcement of the provision of the statute. It is a very wide-ranging provision, and whenever the constitutional validity of Rule 36(4) would be challenged, as has been challenged before the Rajasthan High Court recently, the government might be taking recourse of section 164. How far it would be valid, it is again a thing to be seen in future. But one thing, if I have a genuine purchase, I have invoices of the same, I have proof of goods being received, I have proof of transportation of goods, I can very well claim the credit. And last thing which I should do, register the complaint with the department of the suppliers who have not filed their 3B. Now government is coming with a facilitation measure in such case where they would be opening a communication window between a supplier and the recipient, where the recipient can fill in the invoices which would be going to the supplier, and he would be reflected on the portal that these are the invoices which the recipient is saying that you have not paid taxes. So this is one good measure which would be adopted by the government and would be brought in due course by the GST very shortly. And whenever there is such case, please do register such cases through this communication whenever it is brought on the portal. And if it takes time for GST to bring it on portal, go on the CPGram portal, the grievance portal established by the PMO, and register the complaints of such supplier on that portal.
Okay, so let me take some of the feedback from the chat. Ashish Gaiji is again saying, sir, the invoice is reflecting in 2A, but still department is not accepting. Same case with everybody. What would be your suggestion?
Heads also mine and tails also mine.
What would be your suggestion, Arpit? Any suggestion in this case?
See, again, the suggestion would be, first thing, provide all the evidences to the department of the genuineness, that I have the invoices, my GSTI is on the invoices, I have paid the due amount to the supplier, there is e-way bill supporting with the invoices, there is proof of transportation of goods, I have received the goods. This is the condition which I need to fulfill, which is in my domain and which is possible for me, and I have submitted all the documents. Let the department come and say that even if it is a genuine credit, we would not still allow it. Then we have to approach through the proper appellate procedure to the jurisdiction high court, and in all probability, whatever have been the past precedents and looking to the genuineness of the issue, the recipient might get the benefit from the court. But as I said, 2A, even if it is not reflecting in 2A, department is denying it. Even if it is reflecting in 2A, they are saying 3B has not been filed. So ultimately, the heads and the tails of the coin, the both sides of the coin are resting with the department, and the taxpayers are only left with approaching to the appropriate appellate mechanism to enforce his right. And we should have all the relevant evidences, and all the relevant evidences should be submitted before the proper officer at the inquiry stage itself.
Okay. So
and he said he has provided all proofs. So even if you have provided all proof, be assured that the proper office, at the level of proper officer, they would not be entertaining it, because they have not received any guidelines from the government till date for this. Even if they create a demand, go and file an appeal before the proper appellate authority and get your rights secured.
Okay. Yeah, so I think a very healthy discussion on whether ITC can be claimed if supplier has not paid the taxes. Now let me ask the next question from the audience. A very interesting question. Don't worry at all. Only 20-25 minutes left, and I have a long list of questions. But still, I'll select some questions and then ask from my audience. So the next question, very important question, which many people keep on asking. Sir, पुरानी returns थी, right? अब returns भर रहे हैं, क्या अब उसका ITC claim कर सकते हैं? I will translate in English. Whether ITC, for my YouTube audience, I want the answers from you also. Whether ITC can be claimed if I filed 2017-18 and 18-19 GST returns now, that is in September 2020. Will I be able to claim ITC for those returns filed? So yes, no. Earlier the yes was high, the no was low. Now it's reverse. Yes is 26% till now. No is 70%. Now no is increasing. Okay, 60, 70, 60, 70. Yes, no, yes, no. So yeah, please keep on voting, because this is how we get to know that what is actually, all the professionals are thinking. How much we are in depth with the GST provisions, rather not the provisions now. It's the notifications and the amendments which are coming now. So yeah, it shows us how much we are aware of the new updates coming up. So I'll just end the poll now and let's see what comes in. 33% is yes and 66% is no, right? So it clearly showed that it's again a debatable issue. And many of the people are saying that Section 16 ultra vires, Hardeep Singh is saying, Gaurav Neema ji is saying no. A very, very useful session, Yashwant ji. Thank you so much. Kameshwar ji is saying Varanasi say hello. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Namaskar. Now let's hear from the expert Haldia ji. Please, sir.
See, starting with the discussion, first thing, whether ITC is my vested right. Because we always start our discussion and something which has been imbibed in our mind is ITC is my vested right. As per Article 300 capital A, I cannot be divested of my right unless otherwise by the provisions of the law. So ITC becomes my vested right only when I satisfy the conditions. There are two stages. One stage is I pay my amount to the supplier, and second stage is I comply with all the conditions as have been provided in the law. So the question is, when the ITC becomes my vested right, when I pay the amount and receive the goods, or when I comply with all the conditions as have been provided in the law. There are four landmark judgments. One is Godrej Voice in case of in 1992, and three are very recent ones, and last one is in 2018, which is ALD Automobiles, which has clearly stated that ITC is not a vested right, it is a concession, it is a benefit granted by the legislature, and once a person satisfies the condition, then only it becomes a vested right. There are two landmark judgments, which is Eicher Motors and Daiichi Karkaria, which says that ITC is a vested right. But if we go into the in-depth of those two decisions of Honorable Apex Court, they say that once the conditions have been fulfilled in those two decisions, then only it has become a vested right. So merely I have received the goods, I have paid the amount. It does not become a vested right. It becomes a vested right when I satisfy the conditions which have been provided in section 16. Now comes the question, which conditions in section 16 had to be fulfilled? First, section 16(2)(a), invoice has to be there. Section 16(2)(b), goods has to be received. Section 16(2)(c), tax has to be paid by the supplier. Then 16(2)(c), as I said, that law is expecting me to do the impossible. There, at that point of time, I can challenge 16(2)(c) because it is expecting the impossible. So, with the rider that 16(2)(c) cannot be fulfilled by me, I expect that even if my supplier has not paid the tax, I would still be entitled. 16(2)(d), I should have filed my return. Section 16 subsection 4, that I should have claimed the credit within the due time limit. Now 16(4) time limit, as has been held by Honorable Apex Court in ALD Automobile, is well within the purview of legislature, well within the powers of the legislature to prescribe a time limit. Prescribing a time limit to avail ITC cannot be held to be unconstitutional. Honorable Apex Court has specifically said that if there is no time limit prescribed in the law for availing ITC, it would be an endless affair. It will be going till eternity that any person can claim ITC up till any time. So, time limit would be there. 16(4) in itself grants an additional time limit of 6 months for claim of ITC after the end of the financial year. In case of ALD automobiles, the time limit was only 3 months from the date of invoice. Here, 6 months additional have been given from the end of the financial year, so it is not an unreasonable time limit. Although for 17, 18, 18, 19, I can argue that government should take a beneficial view since it was a new law. But going forward, 16(4) time limit is here to stay. So 16(4) time limit. Now, what is the recourse available with me? The recourse which is available to me, if I see the minutes of the council meeting held in December 2018, they categorically said that if GSTR 1, 2, and 3 would have been there, ITC would have been claimed without payment of tax. Because my supplier would have filed GSTR 1, I would have accepted in GSTR 2, and then I would have filed GSTR 3. So merely by accepting in GSTR 2, I would have claimed the credit. But when 1, 2, 3 did not claim, they brought in GSTR 3B. Now in case of GSTR 3B, till the point I am not able to pay my taxes and file valid GSTR 3B, the credit is not posted to my electronic credit ledger. So there is a condition in GSTR 3B which was not there in the law, that you would be entitled to claim credit provided you have paid all the taxes. And in the minutes of GST Council meeting in December 18, it has been categorically admitted that this restriction of claim of credit without payment of taxes is not coming from the law, it is a restriction made by GST portal. So if for 2017, 18 and 18, 19, if I am able to prove that there was a financial crunch with me because I had to pay a huge amount to tax in cash amount, and that's why I am not able to file the return within the due time limit, then in such case I would not be challenging the buyers of 16(4). I would be challenging the restriction put by GST portal. So there is a very good chance of succeeding in that case. But supposedly, if I had an output liability of 10 lakh rupees, but input credit of 15 lakh rupees, in such case, I would not require to pay any tax. In such cases, any lapse in filing of return cannot be explained by any reason. So this is a case where the contention of the petitioner or the assessee becomes very dicey. And in such cases, only recourse would be challenging the buyers of 16(4). And one additional challenge which we can take is, up till June 2019, whatever notification which was being issued by central government for extension of GSTR 1, they were regularly putting in a condition that due date of filing of GSTR 3 from 1st July 2017 would be notified later on. So they were, and a circular was issued on 2nd September 2017, which said that in case you miss to avail a credit in GSTR 3B, you can avail it through GSTR 3. So by taking that, government was regularly assuring me that we would be bringing it GSTR 3, and you can claim in GSTR 3B, GSTR 3 through as has been provided in circular. So if they have made a retrospective amendment in section rule 61(5) and said that 3B is in place of GSTR 3, there is a lack of the assurance which was being regularly given by the government. And there is a Honorable Odisha High Court judgment which goes as late as back as 1948, which says that if the government has led me to believe something which is going to be true in future, but which does not becomes a reality, it is not a fault on the part of the taxpayer. It is fault on the part of the government. They were regularly making the taxpayer believe that we are doing this, we are doing this, we are doing this, and subsequently, if they bring a retrospective amendment, they are going back on their promise. They are going back on their promise, and it is not an offense on the part of the taxpayer. So this is how the entire thing has to be seen in light of the various judgments.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for the elaborative discussion on this issue. I was just noticing the rulings and the judgments which he mentioned. I hope all the participants are loving this session and the way Arpit ji is, discussing all these issues. So, Kiran Mohanji is saying, I have already registered for the course. How many days? Sir, it's 12 live sessions course, only for 3499 exclusive for this webinar. Only few registrations are left if you can see on the screen. We had almost 100 registrations available, but only 8 or 9 are left now. So you can just subscribe to that course if you haven't done yet, right? Advocate Vivek Bhattji, wow, thank you so much, sir. A great session. Selva Muthu Kumar Sami ji, thank you so much. I love when people from down south also join, because what we should stick to is unity, right? Because whether it is GST, whether it is India, or whatever it is, unity is must. Whether it is a profession, whether it is GST or general thing. Already registered, Arvind ji is saying. Bakia Narayan ji, very good interactive and clear explanation, sir. Thank you. Okay, Arvind Jain ji from Thane, Mumbai. Great. Now let me ask another question from Arpit ji. Okay, let me see which one should I ask. Okay, so first question is ITC on furniture fixture, right? Why this is an important question? You would be feeling, sir, theek hai, sofa wofa le liya, kya ITC, sir, chodo, right? But this is a very important question. Why? For example, if there is a Elmira sticked into the wall, right? Elmira in the wall, inside the wall. If you have seen, there is a block in the wall and there is a Elmira, right? Can I claim ITC? Can I claim ITC? It's a very debatable issue. Next question also is another debatable issue, but let's start with the furniture and fixture one. So the answers are already coming. 70-20 is the answer. Yes is 70%, no is 20% now. 30% rather. On YouTube also, I would request everybody to please answer. Nitin Nigam ji is saying loving this session. KK Pandey ji is there with us. Subha Keswan ji is saying no. And I can see even now 250 plus people watching on YouTube live. Webinar Jam is also it's too high number on Webinar Jam. On YouTube also 250 plus people. Even after 1.5 hour session, it's actually remarkable. So I need all of you to please like on YouTube live session, like, subscribe and share our YouTube channel. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel for further webinars also. Vikas ji is mentioning that sir आपके webinars ने हमें GST expert बना दिया. Sir बस ऐसे ही प्यार बना रखिए. Arun Shah ji is saying loving the session. Okay. Now let me end this poll. So yes is 74%, no is 25%, right? Now I would request Arpit ji to please have a short and small debate on this answer. Also give a answer for this question, please.
See, if I since you have given me a restricted time limit, a short answer, so I would only be giving a short answer and keeping the detailed discussion for our webinar series. Section 17(5)(c) and D says that ITC is not allowed on immovable property, and the explanation to Section 17(5)(c) and D says that except for plant and machinery. Now, plant and machinery has been defined any machinery which has been used for providing an outward supply. So when I am there are two things. One is furniture and second is fixture. Furniture is the movable part, as you said, sofa. But a fixture is something which has been embedded in the wall. Say a ply which we fix on the wall. This is a fixture which has been embedded on the wall. Now, whether it is an immovable property, if we see the definition of immovable property in General Employees Act, since it has not been given in CGST Act, it says that anything which is embedded to earth or second attached to what is so embedded for the permanent beneficial enjoyment. And another thing is the circular of central excise which said that anything would be considered immoral if it cannot be removed without substantial damage to the property. So if anything, it is so embedded in the wall that it cannot be removed without substantial damage. Like the one you are seeing in my office, the back one. It is embedded in the wall. It cannot be removed without substantial damage. It is a fixture. So I would not be eligible to claim credit of this fixture. But the computer through which I am engaging, or the chair on which I am sitting, since it's a movable, it can be taken to any place. I would be eligible to claim the credit. So I have to see whether first thing it is embedded into the wall or the ground or the embedded into earth. Second, it is affixed to anything so embedded for the permanent beneficial enjoyment. And what is meant by permanent beneficial enjoyment? The doors and the windows. There are two judgments of Honorable Apex Court in case of Sirpur Engineering and Solid and Correct Engineering, where they have categorically said that what is meant by immovable property, and these are two landmark judgments. The Solid and Correct Engineering has been given in 2010, and it clearly discusses about the scope of property. And the people can refer that or join a webinar. We will be discussing in detail. And so, concluding my discussion, keeping it in short, anything which is embedded in wall or affixed to anything so embedded or which cannot be removed without substantial damage would not be eligible for ITC.
Okay. So I hope you all have got the answer. Now I have the next question for you all. Since we are running out of time, I have only 4 questions left to ask. Next question is lift, because it is too much debatable. I think many people ask whether we can, avail ITC on lift or not. If you see also yes or no is moving actually. So it will actually tell you that actually it's a debatable issue. So yes is being said by 20% people, no is being said by 80% people. सो आईटीसी लिफ्ट का आईटीसी मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा, बताइए सर. आपके स्क्रीन पर सवाल है. संयोग गुप्ता जी भी हमारे साथ जुड़ चुके हैं मेरठ से. अरुण शाह जी हैं. सुबह केसवन जी सेइंग यस. संयोग जी सेइंग यस. Okay, now let me end the poll here. So 29% says yes, 70% says no. Arpit ji, बताइए.
See, in short, there are two aspects to this question. One is taking the literal aspect without going into the constitutional aspect of the provision. If I see from the literal aspect how the provision has been designed, Section 17(5) C and D says immovable property except plant and machinery. And plant and machinery is something which is used for outward supply except for civil structure, land and building. Now, take an example of a hotel where a lift has been installed. Without lift, the services of hotel cannot be provided. So lift is an integral part. So I can always say that it is falling within the ambit of plant and machinery used for providing outward supply. But due to the exclusion of civil structure, land and building, because when a lift is installed in a building, it becomes a part of the civil structure, it becomes a part of the building, and unless until the building itself is destroyed, the lift cannot be taken out. So it is a part of building. So going by a literal interpretation and whatever AAR decisions have been come in GST, which although literally interpret literal in literal sense correctly, that lift is not credit of lift is not allowed. But if I go on to the constitutional aspect in the Safari Retreat judgment, and I see that this lift is being used for providing a outward supply, and if IT is not being provided to me, it is not seamless flow of credit, and I am going to challenge the wires of Section 17(5) C and D. It is a good ground to challenge the wires of the Act. But if I am not challenging the wires, then in such case, the credit of lift is a doubtful matter. Rajat, your voice is not coming.
Okay, sorry. So I hope you all got the answer. Gaurav Nima ji saying part of immovable property, AAR. Okay, now let me go to the next question, right? Next question, let's make it for the auditors as well, because many people are asking that audit से भी related कुछ बताइए sir. Do we need to report something or बस staff ने भरी और हमने भेज दी? वैसे ही करना है या audit में कुछ अपनी recommendations भी देनी है 9C में? So let me ask that question. So the question to all of you is whether the auditor, please read the question carefully, whether the auditor needs to report the following, right? There are three things. First is interest not being paid by assessee first. Second is 180 days reversal has not been made. And third is GST returns have been filed after the prescribed date of 16 subsection 4. So these are the 3 points. If these are not being complied of, whether the auditor needs to report the following is the question. So I would request all of you to answer. And now let's see. So yes is coming, 85% yes is coming. So good to see that before we are ending the webinar, before we are reaching the conclusion of the webinar, people are actually now understanding that whether it is what is the correct answer. So let me end the poll here. So yes is 88%. I think this is the highest yes which we have got till now. So yes is 88%, is no is 11%. So अर्पित जी, जनता आपसे जवाब मांगती है सर, बताइए. पहला दो क्वेश्चन है. I have two questions here. Whether the auditor needs to report, and if yes, then how does he need to report and where to report, please.
देखिए, when I am acting as an auditor, there might be an interpretation issue on which I can take a call, but I cannot conduct my audit treating that the provision is constitutionally invalid. So take an example of section 16 subsection 4. Section 16 subsection 4 provides a time limit that the credit has to be claimed by this time period. Now, as an auditor, I have to do the audit and whether the ITC has been claimed within that period or not. Whether it is constitutionally valid or not, that is a ground to be taken by the assessee. I cannot take that ground on behalf of assessee. I have to report on a literal basis. There might be an interpretation issue कि भाई इस पे 5% लगेगा कि 12% लगेगा. पर मैं ये बोल दूं कि नहीं, जीएसटी अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है, इसलिए मैं तो कुछ भी नहीं बोलूंगा. So that is not the work of an auditor. That is the work of the assessee to say that this is unconstitutional. So when I am doing an audit and a credit has been claimed after the time period of section 16 subsection 4, I have to report it. The assessee might or might not agree with that. I report it. The assessee might challenge and go before the jurisdiction high court challenging the wires of 16.4. But as an auditor, if I am not reporting it somewhere down the line, I am not doing my profession. I am not completing my profession responsibility properly. Coming to the interest paid by the assessee. Now, whether interest is to be paid on a gross basis or a net basis, I might have an interpretation issue कि नहीं ये तो net basis पे लगना चाहिए और amendment भी आ गया और क्योंकि ये beneficial amendment है तो ये retrospective होना चाहिए, but at least make the assessee pay the interest on cash amount. If he has not paid the interest on cash amount, it has to be reported. So second 180 days reversal. Law is very clear in second proviso to section 16 subsection 2 that if the amount has not been paid by the supplier, by the recipient to the supplier within 180 days, he has to reverse the credit from the date of invoice. And the interest has to be paid from the date of invoice also. So if I am not reporting that, I am not doing or following my professional duty diligently. These are only literal interpretations of the law. These are not constitutional validity. Constitutional validity is job of the taxpayer. It is not the job of the taxpayer, of the auditor. So if a person has not paid the interest on cash basis, it has to be reported. If a person has not reversed ITC on 180 days, it has to be reported. If a person has claimed ITC beyond the time period of 16.4, it has to be reported. In my observation, and quantification has to be made. Merely reporting in the notes on accounts or a document uploaded in PDF would not suffice my purpose. It is an adverse comment on the compliance with the taxpayer, and since there is a proper column given in that, it has to be reported. And if I am not able to quantify that amount, then a specific disclaimer should be there on the face and the communication has to be made to the department.
Very deliberate answer given by Haldia ji. Let me move to the Venkat ji Singh. Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. This is the first time we are trying such kind of session. Now let me go to the next question. Let me see. Only 2 questions are left. Let me see which one should I ask before. Okay. Okay. RCM se related many questions were coming up. So let me ask question related to RCM. So the question is, let's say the RCM belongs to 1819 or 1718, right? The RCM belongs to these 2 years, 1718 and 1819. I repeat it for my YouTube audience as well. Still, I think 200 plus people are there. So please like the session if you are liking it. I would repeat the question for them. Can I claim ITC for the RCM amount paid in this month? if I pay RCM amount in this month, September 2020, belonging to previous 2 years, can I claim ITC or not? If you see the answers, now let me end the poll. अर्पित जी अगर आप पोल देखेंगे it's again a tie. So it's again a tie, almost a tie. So no is 51% and yes is 48%, right? Now, considering the answers, the poll results coming up, you can make out, the audience can make out that what is the condition of, understanding the provisions first. Second is the confusions going on in this provision. And reason why, see, we are scheduling this 12 sessions course because, see, going into depth of the provisions is very important. Otherwise, एक WhatsApp law आ गया आजकल. Today, WhatsApp law is there. You just forward and whatever. So I remember, I want to mention specifically. Recently, the last notification came saying that the due date for section 171 is extended. And if you read the WhatsApp messages, it says that date for appeal, everything is extended, right? So WhatsApp law is very famous these days, but we should be very clear with the law because law is something which will answer all our questions. So Haldia ji, please answer.
See, this is a GST evolving law, and there are many issues which have to be settled down by the judiciary in the coming future. So, this is again a contentious issue. Starting with section 16, subsection 4, it says that a registered person shall not be entitled to take credit in respect of any invoices or debit notes. Now, the term invoice has been used. Now, if I see Rule 36, sub rule 1, it says that for claiming of credit, a self invoice is to be generated as per provision of section 31(3)(f). So when I am generating a self invoice, that if that invoice is falling within a particular financial year, as per literal interpretation of 16(4), the time limit for claiming credit in respect of that invoice starts from that financial year. So supposedly, if I avail the services on which RCM is to be paid, tax is to be paid under reverse charge mechanism, and I generate an invoice, say in 1718. So, as per literal interpretation, the last date for claiming credit would be 24th October 2018, because the date for extended up to 23rd April 2019 was only in respect of those invoices which were being reflected in GSTR 2A. And invoice of RCM is not reflected in GSTR 2A, it is a self invoice. So therefore for 1718, the time limit for claiming of ITs in respect of RCM invoices was up to 25th of October 2018. So this is the literal interpretation. Now when I go one step ahead, the client who is ready to litigate and ready to go to the higher forums, he can say that an additional condition in Rule 36(1) is that a self invoice which is to be generated as per 31(3)(f) subject to payment of tax. Now that subject to payment of tax, the invoice becomes a valid document only on payment of tax. And when that tax has been paid, it has been paid in the year 1920. So 16(4) would be applicable from the year 1920. And since it would be applicable from 1920, the due date would not be 25th October 2018, it would be 20th October 2021. And another thing which can be taken is section 16(2) is starting with notwithstanding anything contained in this section. And 16(4) is a part of section 16. So if 16(2) is overriding 16(4), and my conditions in 16(2) have been complied later on after the end of the financial year or after the time prescribed in 16(4), therefore 16(4) loses all its relevance, and whenever I would comply with 16(2), I would be eligible to claim credit as per the generation of invoice subject to payment of tax. So this is how we can interpret this issue. This is not settled far from dispute or ambiguity. But in case there is a huge amount involved, we can very well take a call and move to the appellate forms.
Absolutely agreed, Arpit ji. It's almost, I think, 7 now, 5-10 minutes are left. So we'll just take up the last question now. I know I have asked so many questions from you today because already I think 20 plus questions I have taken from you. Now let me ask the next question. Okay, let me see which one should I ask. Okay. So I have asked with respect to ITC, RCM, GST R9. I have asked. Now the last and foremost question, rather the second last. Okay. So whether the let me ask the public first. So whether the auditor needs to report if ITC 04. First of all, what is ITC 04? This is with respect to the job work, right? So whether the auditor needs to report if ITC 04 has not been filed for 1920. Why I am pitching 1920? Because 17 and 1819 it was made optional, right? So 1920 it is compulsory, ITC 04. So whether the auditor needs to report that. Yeah. So yes is coming 70%, no is coming 30%. I still don't believe who is voting for that no. I think they are the nota one. So so जो nota होता है ना सर वैसा वाला भी होता है. Okay. Let me end this poll now. So yes is 74%, no is 25%. Over to you, Arpit, without wasting any time.
Again, if I go with the literal interpretation as an auditor, I need to do this. Section 143 says that a registered person who is acting as a principal can send goods to a job worker under intimation to the commissioner. And the intimation form is nothing but ITC 04. So if I have not complied with filing of ITC 04, that means that I have not given an intimation to the commissioner. And since a mandatory condition provided under the law has not been fulfilled, therefore it would be a non-compliance with the law, and the impact would be that movement of goods from principal to job worker would be treated as supply and the tax would have to be paid. So this is a very big non-compliance. And additionally, although no specific penalty has been provided for non-filing of ITC 04, but there is a general penalty in the section 125 which the department may levy for non-filing of ITC 04. So supposedly for 1920, if I am conducting 9 or 9C hypothetically in July 2021, hopefully by that time their due date would be there. And if the person has not filed ITC 04 by that time, he would not, that means he has not complied with the condition as provided in section 143. And what I can do is I can ask him to file the ITC 04 before filing of 9C. If he does that, then I am not required to report anything. But if he has not done that, then as an auditor, I have to report it and quantify what is the impact of not filing ITC 04.
Okay. Thank you so much for the answer, Arpit. I think before the last question, Arpit, there is one question being asked by Raksha. I think he or she is asking since last 5-6 times he has asked or he has asked. If you can just take that question, if it is possible only.
Regarding to the question of reimbursement, if there is a contract given to subcontractor and if in the contract it is mentioned that labor and material should be provided, should be of subcontract, but it fails to provide it, so main contractor is providing it, whether it will be considered as supply and whether debit note issued against it for normal invoice. See, again, the issue is if the subcontractor has not done the work, he has not provided the labor and the material, whether I have ended that contract and done the work on my behalf only, or I have provided and after providing I have asked the subcontractor to raise invoice for that. If I have ended the contract, that since you have not provided anything, I would we end the contract here and there is no contractual obligation between two of us and I would be suing you for non-compliance of the contract, then whatever labor and material which has been used by me, it is on my behalf. There is no supply from the subcontractor side. But if I have not ended the contract, I have used my material, I have used the labor and asked the subcontractor to raise the invoice upon me. Then in such case, I have to raise a counter invoice on the subcontractor since I have provided him with the labor and the material and he has in turn provided with me with the completion of the work, which is going to be very rare case because subcontractor has not fulfilled his obligation. That means I would sue him for non-performance and I would get the work completed on my behalf.
Okay. Okay, so last question from my side with respect to inverted duty structure, and I would we would be ending the session. We'll be just taking a 5 minutes question answer from the audience and the last question from my side. So the question is with respect to inverted duty structure, refund of services. What is your opinion, sir?
See, it has been declared by the Honorable Gujarat High Court that services should be included while granting refund for inverted duty structure. And we also have filed a writ petition before the Honorable Rajasthan High Court in case of Shriram Line, and it was filed as far as March 2018. and it is yet to be decided. But when we go through the jurisprudence and the binding precedent of High Court, decision of High Court, it is not binding on other than the jurisdiction of the that relevant High Court. So if I have filed a writ petition before Rajasthan High Court, Rajasthan High Court can give its own decision by disagreeing with the decision given by Honorable Rajasthan High Court. And what it seems that it would be settled at the level of Supreme Court only. It would not be finalized till the. And what today I have come to know that department is going to file an SLP within 2 to 3 days before Honorable Supreme Court in case of ocean freight judgment, which were delivered in the month of January 2020. So same is going to be the fate of that inverted duty structure as well, and it would be decided before by the Honorable Supreme Court. But most important thing, which as a registered person, which I need to do is, if I need to take the benefit of any court ruling which would be coming in future regarding availability of refund on services, I should be filing my refund applications, because there is a clear-cut judgment of Honorable Apex Court which says that even if a law has been held as unconstitutional, say in case of refund, that refund on services has to be granted. But if I have not filed the application within the due time limit, then for that period my right would not be there. I would be devoid of my that right. So if I intend to claim benefit of any future favorable ruling of Supreme Court, first thing which I need to do is file all my refund application, which I can file as on today within the prescribed time limit, and then file an appeal before the Honorable Jurisdictional Court or before the Appellate Authority and wait till the matter gets settled at the Supreme Court. But if I am not filing my refund application, say after 10 years down the line, I get a favorable decision that refund is required to be given on services. For those registered persons who have not filed the refund application, that period of 10 years would be gone. For them, that decision would only be applicable prospectively. It would not be applicable retrospectively.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Arpitji. A question from the chat is coming for OPTOTAX. So what is OPTOTAX? I will just brief in just 1 or 2 minutes. So OPTOTAX is a platform made for all the tax professionals, where we provide a free software. Yes, actually free software for all the tax professionals, and you can use it. It's too easy, it's too simple for all the tax professionals, and we do not charge at all. It's been almost now 2 years plus. I'll just mention the contact numbers in your chat if you want to install it. I have given you the contact numbers of OPTOTAX team members. You can just call on these numbers and install OPTOTAX free of cost. And the benefit is it will give you the data from July 2017, irrespective of whether you are filing returns from any other software or from any other portal. Don't worry at all. It will give you data from 2017 July, right? First benefit. Second benefit is it's too simple, it's too easy to use, and there are no 25 buttons of red, green, orange, and you don't know that which one to file, which one to click to file. Also, we are providing reports, full year reports, right? In one Excel, full year GSTR 2A, GSTR 2A versus 3B reconciliation, R1 versus R1 versus 3B reconciliation, and now we are coming up with GSTR 2B as well. So the reports are superb. It's already appreciated by so many people, and it's trusted by 30,000 plus tax professionals across India for 8 lakh plus their clients, right? So you all should use OPTOTAX, and Nilesh Kushwaha ji is there with us. So first of all, thank you so much, Nilesh ji, for always supporting us, whether on Twitter, whether on webinar, always supporting us. Yeah, so Nilesh ji is a very good friend of mine, and Haldia ji as well. So whatever questions with respect to OPTOTAX, you can ask me in the chat itself. Now what we'll do is, Yashwant ji is asking, in OPTOTAX software, can we download GSTR 4A? Yes, sir. Absolutely, yes. You can file GSTR 1, 3B, GSTR 4. You can download beautiful reports, GSTR 3B summary, full year data in one Excel, right? GSTR 2A in just 1 or 2 minutes. You can download from OPTOTAX. I've already given you the contact numbers. I'll again mention in the chat box, so you can note down and call these numbers for installation of OPTOTAX. They won't charge you at all, so please don't worry. Next, let me take some questions from the chat now. Okay, Ashwin Khatri ji, sir, take my query. Ashwini ji, request है sir, please दोबारा post कर दीजिए. थोड़ी सी नीचे चली गई इसलिए अभी नहीं. हेमंत चुगानी जी का question है हल्दिया जी. GSTR 1 late fee is not being charged right now. Whether it will be charged in future?
Again a tricky question. कि Legally देखा जाए तो it has not been waived, although it is not being charged, but it's still part of the statute. But once the government starts to levy it, it would be harakiri on the ground, because nobody has accounted for payment of late fees on GSTR 1. But technically, yes, it is still in the law. And if you remember the last amendment, which provided that late fees of GSTR would be waived, wherein GSTR 1 has been filed between 19th December to 17th January 2020. So the intention of the government is still there, but if they would be collecting it, it would be collecting interest on gross liability.
Okay, ठीक है. So next question is शशांक श्रीवास्तव जी, very nice informative webinar. Thank you sir. तौहीद रसूल जी का question है, what to do ITC of cess unutilized?
If the ITC of cess is unutilized, first thing is whether you are engaged in any service goods which are liable to compensation cess. If you are not engaged in any goods which are liable to compensation cess, then you are not you would having a balance of cess, but you would not be able to utilize it. Second, if you are engaged as an exporter and making a zero rated supply, then you are entitled to claim refund of that amount. But in case of inverted duty structure, you are not entitled to claim refund of cess, since you are not charging any compensation cess on outward supply, if such is the case.
Okay. Amit ji saying, if excess paid GST in 17-18 but not refund due to relevant date, can I access GST against current liability? I think
Yes,
that's
there is
yes.
no issue with that. ITC is my vested right once I have fulfilled all my conditions, and once I have fulfilled and availed it, it is my vested right. Nobody can deprive me of that. And if I am not able to claim refund, claiming refund and eligibility ITC is two different things. If I am not eligible to claim refund, still ITC is my right, and I can adjust it against my current liability.
Okay. Okay. Next question is from Arpit ji. If you want to take any question from chat, if you want to select any question,
Yeah, there is
because
one question from Satyaji, whether works contractor can claim refund on inverted duty structure. Yes, he can claim, subject to entry in Schedule 2 of entry number 5B of Schedule 2, wherein a builder or developer is restricted from claiming refund. Works contractor comes in entry number 7, a composite supply, therefore he is entitled to claim refund. And subsequent to amendment of rules of Rule 89.5, after 13 June 2018, which has been made retrospective from 1st July 17, a service provider is also eligible to claim refund on inverted duty structure. In the Gajendra, there is a query from Gajendra. In the course of business, contractor is required to deposit the amount as security, and the amount is kept in FD form. The amount earned on such FD will be treated as furtherance of business. Yes, it would be treated as furtherance of business, since it is a prerequisite for your business, and it is only an ancillary activity. Once your main activity is coming under business, then ancillary activity made out of the business fund, it would be coming. What we have given example, we have taken an example for individual who is not having any business, but only interest and rental income. In that case, whether interest income would be there, or as a business also, I have some separate private fund which has been invested in saving bank account. But in your case, it is a use of business fund, and it would be considered as supply.
okay. मेरठ से शैलजा मोहन जी का क्वेश्चन है सर, आई वांट टू क्लोज वन फर्म एंड देयर इज आईटीसी इन हिज क्रेडिट लेजर, कैन आई क्लेम रिफंड?
See, if there is a refund, the refund is only on two accounts. One is inverted duty, and second is export of goods or services. This, in this case, the ITC part would be forfeited. What we can do is again challenge the buyer that says it is my vested right. How can it be deprived of once my business is closed? But it is again going to a long road of litigation. Literal meaning there is no recourse available, and it has to be waived off.
Okay, okay. Subha Keswan ji saying, please have session on real estate. Subha ji, we already had a detailed 4-session course on real estate sector. So you can just visit optotax.com and you can enroll to that course. Now, next point is whether, okay. So all of you, if you have not enrolled to Arpit Haldia ji's course, please enroll it right now. Only few registrations are left, as I can see in the screen. We had almost 100 registrations available, but only few of them are left. So please enroll. आशीष घई जी कह रहे हैं गजब है सर. आशीष जी, गजब तो भी ट्रेलर था, पिक्चर तो कोर्स में भी पूरी दिखाई देगी. वी हैव एक्सक्लूसिव 2 सेशन फॉर क्वेश्चन आंसर्स. तो पूरे 2 सेशन है क्वेश्चन आंसर्स के, तो कोर्स में पूरा अच्छे से डिस्कस करेंगे. सी बिकॉज वेबिनार 2 घंटे का 2.5 घंटे का हो सकता है सर, उससे ज्यादा हम नहीं कर सकते. It's not possible actually. So we will try our level best to answer all your queries, but see again we have missed so many because the number of participants was so much. Obviously, thanks to all of you for joining today. Murali ji, your question is not visible. If you can ask again. Tawheed Rasool ji, you are unable to download 4A from OPTOTAX. No problem, sir. You can just call our support team and ask them to guide you. Okay. Whether a works contract, Satya ji, we have already answered your question. Yes, we can refund on inverted duty for works contractor.
Yes, we have covered it.
We have already covered, right? Okay. I think we are done with the questions now. So with this, I thank all the participants for joining today. I think the number was too big on Webinar Jam and YouTube Live as well. We went first time live on YouTube, and the response was so good. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you loved this session, because see, we tried something different, because generally what happens in the webinars, the PPT is being presented and the speaker speaks. Obviously that's also necessary, but we tried to keep it engaging session, right? Hardeep ji, thank you. And yes, background material will be provided in the course. Today the background material is not there because it had to be a question answer session, so please don't worry at all. With respect to, okay, so everyone is thanking now, and I also want to thank first of all Arpit Haldia ji, because the way he has deliberated today is superb, amazing. I don't have words, but I just thank you both of you. Wonderful session. Okay. So I just want to say a few lines for Arpit Haldia ji. Sorry to all my South Indian friends, it's in Hindi, but you can translate it also. So as I always say कि आपकी तारीफ क्या करे, अल्फाज नहीं मिलते, आप जैसे फूल चमन में बार बार नहीं खिलते. So I don't have other words to say for you. Prachi ji is saying insightful session. Thank you so much, Prachi ji. Keep supporting. Also, I would like to ask you that please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will try our level best to post this recording on YouTube. If you will subscribe to our YouTube channel, press the bell icon, you will get the notification first, right? So with this, I think all the queries are answered. It was an amazing session. Arpit ji, over to you, please.
Thank you, Rajat. It was a first time experience for me also, that having a poll from the audience and then giving the reply, and sometimes in line with the public poll and sometimes against the public poll. But it just goes to show that how much difference in interpretation is there in the ground level. And it would be a very good thing that if you are able to publish this poll result on your Twitter handle, that these were the 12 questions which you have raised, and this was the answer which we have received. And this is the ambiguity which is there in the law, which the government should come and clarify. Because going into the litigation part is not incapacity of all the taxpayers. So it was a very insightful initiative and enjoyed by me, and hopefully we would try this thing, and hopefully sometime down the line our roles would be reversed, and I would be sitting in your place and you would be giving the answers.
Arey,
So
sir.
you are equal, because I always say that you are equally capable in giving all the answers. It is only the thing that you have chosen this part. That's why I am giving the answer and you are asking the questions.
Okay, so see, what happens is either we should be at the audience part, or we should be at the convener part, because speaker is always in dilemma. Should I favor the revenue, should I favor the participant, or should I favor the person sitting in front? Thank you so much everyone for joining today's session. I hope you would have loved the session. On YouTube also, Kishore Shahji, Pankaj Kumar Patel ji, I would like to take some name. Nilesh Kushwaji, again a big thanks to you. With this, I would like to end this session, and thank you so much. Jai Namaskar. Sat Sri Akal. Vanakkam. Thank you. Vanakkam to all my Tamil Nadu friends. They always say me that you always do webinars in Hindi. Don't worry, sir. I will keep doing in English as well. Thank you so much. Namaskar.